Christmas Street Talk time. Gemma, did you enjoy Christmas on Coronation Street this week? Was it not the greatest Christmas ever? That's what online says. What do you think?
I am going to go for 100%. Loved it. Thought it was the best Christmas ever because I've been listening to you moaning about it. I think we need some balance.
I'm sorry, everybody. No,
Look,
actually,
I tell you what. Look.
Gemma's told me I'm not allowed to moan too much about Christmas because it might wreck the Christmas spirit, but I happen to think that Christmas Day's episode was fairly poor. And that was just me.
Bad.
I'm glad that everybody else enjoyed it. But, you know, I like a bit of plot. It's bad because I complain about it being too plot heavy over character heavy, and I totally get how it was a character-y Christmas Day. But I was sitting there watching it going, not much going on here, actually. Not much happening. And I think part of the problem was I'd, in my head, as you probably know if you listened to last week's podcast, had built some very firm predictions of things that would absolutely definitely happen on Christmas Day, and none of it really did. One of which I didn't want to happen, so I was thinking that Emma was maybe going to get married to Curtis as a Christmas Day round the piano sing-song thing, where he's not even shown his face.
Yeah, me too. I'm surprised that he's not around.
And I was pretty convinced that that Fizz and Tyrone would have a lovely romantic reunion. I was expecting it to be a sort of Love Actually, run to the plane airport place, and then she'd turn around and say, no, Tyrone, I like you, or she'd say, Phil, take your mum instead, or something, and then they'd sort of have a lovely Christmassy embrace. I think it was the TV guides, the mags, the pictures on the front that spoiled me on that one, because all the pictures were Fizz and Tyrone together, weren't they? And I was like, oh yeah, they're getting back together at Christmas. I wish I hadn't been spoiled about that, but okay. And I built it up to be something big in my mind, and it wasn't really anything. It was just Phil and Tyrone having a bit of a scrap, and Fizz and he are kind of in a worse state now, romantically, than they were even a week ago. There are other things that will come out as the Street Talk goes on, I'm sure, that made me not so happy with Christmas Day's episode. But I'll try not to spoil everyone else's enjoyment. And Gemma, like you said, you can be the yin to my yang on that one. I
want to point out that Tyrone Dobbs is officially less appealing than a donkey.
Okay. And
isn't he?
But I'm enjoying pretty much the rest of the week. I think my favourite day of the week that we're going to talk about is Christmas Eve. I really, really love Christmas Eve episode Coronation Street. And everything else has been okay. Although it has been tough being an Abby fan this week. And Abby has caused some... If you think me saying that Christmas Day curry wasn't the best thing since sliced bread was a bit of curry controversy for you should read all the threads and Twitter posts and everything about Abby this week, because people aren't really a fan of her at the moment, are they?
No.
Though I don't. Maybe after last night's episode, there's been a change of opinion on that. I haven't actually seen whether people have gone back on themselves. But all this and more is to come. But first, of course, we need to see what are the Christmas storyline titles we got for this week. I've got some pretty terrible ones and one quite good one. So Daniel has got rid of Daisy, Gemma. So I'm calling that bit of the storyline Daisy Cutter. Do you know what that is? It's a part of a bomb, apparently.
What's it do?
I don't know. I just looked searching for Daisy things on Google, desperately trying. Daisy Cutter, something to do with a bomb. Yeah, well, I'll have that one.
That is incredibly disrespectful to people who've been blown up
by a bomb with a Daisy Cutter. I don't know. Somebody can tell me. We'll also in that bit talk about Jenny and Leo. Leo's back. Who'd have thought? I didn't think I'd see him again. I call that bit of the story the cougar and the lion. Because Jenny's a bit of a cougar in this, isn't he? And, Leo the lion. Terrible.
Lion. I thought Adam said that he wanted a long lion this week, but he said lion, not lion.
Lion. Nina Right State is what we call the Nina story, because she is in a right state. I told you I had some terrible ones this week.
I don't know why you do this. Almost every week you'll tell me that you've got some bad puns.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because I know they're bad.
I just need to prepare you, because some people go, I love beginning a Street Talk. What amazing puns has Michael got for his storyline titles this week? So I need people not to get the hopes up. But there is one coming.
My expectations could not be lower, so you're all right.
Right, the Abby story this week is Abby watching you. That's not my best one.
Beautiful tune.
The one about somebody, Tyrone, he wants number 9 back off Fizz, doesn't he? So he can sell it. That storyline is cool.
No, he doesn't.
No, what's going on?
She wants him to sell the house, and he's like, no, give it back.
Yeah, he wants the house back. And she's saying, or he's saying, I don't know, 9 Danke.
What does that mean?
It's German, isn't it?
Yeah.
9 Danke. No, thank you. 9.
Oh,
number
Danke
9.
Does not
Danke.
pun for anything.
That's not a pun. Right, here's my good one, everybody. Right, if you're gonna give your girlfriend a funeral for Christmas present, full-on funeral package, the mahogany coffin, the horse and cart, the gravestone, the whole works, everything was included in this, all in one funeral package. What you shouldn't do, as Eileen did, here comes the storyline title, is... You think this is a good one? Don't look a gift hearse in the mouth. Yeah, okay, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
Then we got a bit more of the Trucy Barlow story, Silence of the Sams, and the Case of the Munchies to finish off the week. Which one?
Case of the Munchies.
Case of the Munchies. That's Emma and Munchausen, isn't it, boy?
He
wasn't in it. He wasn't in it. And also Faye was doing some driving lessons in then as well. But by the time we reach that bit, we'll have run out of Street Talk steam. Luckily, it's not particularly interesting. So, the Daisy Cutter stuff. So, Friday first. Like I said, Christmas Eve. This is my favourite day of the week, Corey-wise. And it starts off with Daniel Round at number 1, talking about Daisy non-stop. He is obsessed with her. And Ken says, look, you're banging on about her so much. You must have feelings for her, surely. And this is when he has his scene about saying... I can't remember what the context of it was now, but he was like saying, oh yeah, I was a bit of a player when I was in my youth, and Deirdre could have had any man that she wanted. She was called Sexy Specs. You know who she had? Me, Ken Barlow. I thought that was great. Anyway, meanwhile, Daisy is getting ready for the launch of this new body butter because she's off with Ashley to some football body butter launch thing. She's very excited about getting papped, been all over social media.
This week?
That was last Friday, wasn't it? I know. And then Daniel comes into the pub, says, do you want to go for a drink, missus? But she can't because she's going to this thing. And
I'm going to this thing.
She tells him what she's off to, and he kind of rolls his eyes at this, and then says, look, well, maybe one day you'll find Ashley's brain. Why did he say that?
Because he's rude. He doesn't like them. He thinks they're all fake.
It's probably a punchline to a joke or something, which I haven't written down. Anyway, next we got Adam seeing Daniel in the cafe, looking totally lonely, and says, oh, do you want to come out for a wee dram tonight?
No.
Does he go out? I can't remember whether he goes. Daisy and Ashley, meanwhile, are at this body butter launch. Where could it be? Bistro? No. Speed dial?
No, it's been burnt down. Full.
Of course, Chariot Square, the other venue on Coronation Street. So she's getting very excited about this. She's got a little gift bag with all the things in there. But sadly, her and Ashley don't seem to be connecting very well. And he starts doing some Instagram selfies for himself, doesn't he? Because he's just as vacuous as she is. But tell you what, she knows how to say specifically. So she's already one up in the brains department there.
Can I just say that it's not necessarily vacuous to take photos of yourself?
No, but that's what
I know that lots of people think that it is, but I think if you're beautiful,
why not?
Have at it.
Yeah.
You lucky bitch.
So, Daniel and Adam go into the bistro. Oh yeah, they do, for their wee dram. But, well, Sarah and Lydia are there, and Lydia's reading a book that Daniel loves. I can't remember what it was, but the author of the book put a tweet out later that day or the next day saying, oh, my book was on Coronation Street. He's well proud of it. So, meanwhile...
I thought it was 101 jokes for the toilet room.
No, not that. It was one of these highbrow books that the Clever Clogs is
Please,
like Daniel
Mrs. Butler.
No, I love that one though.
The Bible Part 3.
I don't think Daniel would read that. Meanwhile,
I would, wouldn't you? I think anyone would. If they brought a new one out and they said, look,
the New Testament,
everything you need to know is in here, and it even clears up that whole gay thing. Everyone would buy it. Instant bestseller.
Meanwhile, Daisy is getting a bit bored. She's over the body butter.
If there were signings.
Signings?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, personalised signings there. From the hand of God. Daisy's getting bored. She's realising that things are getting a little bit superficial at this body butter launch thing. And she's also well on her way to being drunk too, which Daniel actually reminds her he specifically told her not to do.
I was want to say, I was watching to prepare for the release of Emily in Paris season 2, the first one, and there is a product launch episode where she goes, and it was like I was watching it going, yeah, I think they watched Emily in Paris before they did this. It wasn't exactly no, it was nowhere near the same, but it's just kind of funny that
how funny.
It's like, oh, so modern. A product launch.
So she decides, Daisy decides that she's going to bog off there. She starts getting a bit snappy with Ashley, and she says, well, you know what, I've had a better offer, so screw you, Ashley, I'm off. She stumbles onto the street with her panda eyes. She's got a mascara all down her face. She leaves a message on Daniel's intercom about, oh, it's so important. I need you. Oh, I want to come back for you. But then the door opens and it's Ken there because he's been babysitting Bertie.
That was
Daniel's
really funny. Yeah,
she pours her heart out and then down the phone.
And Ken comes down with his glasses in his hand going, sorry.
He should have been like, I still got it. Me, Ken Barlow.
You know, they used to call me Sexy Specs sometimes.
What was it that somebody said about Ken later on this week? It might have been in yesterday.
It was Daisy. She said he was a right goer.
No, it was. I thought that. He said Barlow by name set the bar low by nature where women are concerned or something. I don't know. So she said it. You
say that about Sexy Specs.
Anyway, so she goes off to the Christmas market, but what do you know? Daniel is there, snogging her face off Lydia. Because all it takes is to find somebody who's read the same book as him, and he's right in there. Wow.
Why not?
Christmas Day, Saturday. Daisy ducks out of Christmas at Rita's by saying, that's right, I'll help clear up at the Christmas market because we didn't put things away properly yesterday. Or you didn't, Jenny.
No, it was her job, wasn't it?
No, it was Jenny's job.
Oh, no, it was Jenny's job.
Jenny says she's going to give herself a right rollicking later.
Okay.
We didn't get to see that.
No.
Jenny's not opening the pub on Christmas Day because it's her first Christmas without Johnny. Oh. And they end up, so we see a load of the Christmas stuff, market stuff. Then Daisy's opening up the stall. She's handing out free booze to people who turn up. Bernie's there, Dev there, Zed's. Basically, the story of Christmas Day is half the characters on the street get kicked out of their home for various familial spats that have been going on, and they all converge at the Rovers at the Victoria Street Christmas market, which is obviously the place to be because it's been there 3 weeks now and people are still finding new reasons to go there and spend their afternoon whiling away the hours getting mulled wine, mechanical Jesuses and Mary's Meats and Fudge, and that literally is all there seems to be. But not
baby clothes.
Oh yeah, but there's something extra special there on Christmas Day because they decide to get the piano out. In proper classic Corrie tradition, they've definitely done this before, haven't they? They've wheeled the piano out of the street and had Ina Sharples tinkling away on the ivories. But this time it's the Archdeacon himself, Reverend Mayhew, who gets to lead the whole Corrie crowd in a lovely old sing-song. But it almost gets cold water poured on it by Jenny because she turns out with a face like thunder. But it's just a joke. She joins in. She goes, "Oi, Billy, only one thing I've got to say to you. Wish it could be Christmas every day in B flat." And then she joins in and everyone's there pretty much, joining in, having a lovely time. And Jenny tells Daisy that she's proud of her.
As somebody who's not musical, is that a joke or is B flat? Is that a logical thing to say? What does that mean?
It just means play it in the key of B flat.
Why can you why isn't it not just the song? Why can't you just play the song?
It probably is. I don't know whether Jenny knows one, does Jenny know what range she has as a singer?
Well, that's what I mean.
We know that Jenny does have excellent singing talent from her days treading the boards for Alec Gilroy.
Yeah, because that's where she was coming home from when she drove the car into a ditch.
Oh yeah, that's right. Or, and can Billy just play any Christmas song in any key?
From memory.
That's a talent.
Well, he is a vicar. If he couldn't play Christmas songs.
I don't think they play I Wish It Could Be Christmas every day
at
midnight
mass. How else are you supposed to get the atheists in? But so when she said in B flat, you didn't go, oh, you can't play that song in B flat, or can you play any song in any key?
You can, yes.
Really?
You can transpose
So what does that mean? You just start from a different number?
Yeah, instead of going da 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 da,
yeah.
you go da 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 da.
I don't understand what's happening.
It just starts on different.
Doesn't it just go up, higher?
Look, it doesn't matter.
I don't understand music.
That is my musical knowledge imparted to all you listeners. And Gemma.
It's all lies.
Monday. So, Jenny says, I'm going to do something fun with you today, Daisy. Fancy a bit of a bop, do a bit of a dance? I used to be able to do the splits, don't you know? And then she tries to prove it. And while she's down there on the floor, which is quite amusing, who walks in the door but Leo? Grieving period is over. He's decided Jenny must be up for a bit of rumpy pumpy with me by now.
I bet his Google search is full of how long do you leave it before?
Yeah, after your potential love interest's husband has drowned down a sinkhole, what is the appropriate grieving period? Oh, a month and a half. Yeah, fine. Sounds
nice
good to me.
One.
Or 2 months maybe. Yeah, sorted. Christmas romance rekindling sorted. No, she's been avoiding his texts apparently, because she's not sure. She knows there's an age gap. She didn't really want to go out on a date for him tomorrow. Daisy's egging her on, but Jenny says to Daisy, "Look, I don't really know. I had to use Google to translate most of his texts for one thing, which is quite funny." And Daisy says, "Look, you're not being honest with yourself here. You're into him, and you deserve to have some fun." So they do. On Tuesday, Leo comes back to see Jenny, and he invites her to come and see him play rugby later. She's not really a fan of that, freezing her knackers off in the cold on, in the Christmas to New Year's week. But he's able to twist her arm, which is one of his rugby moves probably. Jenny wraps herself. That shows what I know about sport. I can tell you about music, Gemma, but is twisting somebody's arm a rugby move? Not a clue. And I went to school in rugby.
You might do it in a scrum.
I was on the wing when I played rugby at school.
They wouldn't let us do rugby.
Yeah, your dad went into school to complain.
It wasn't just my dad. All the dads said no.
No girls playing rugby.
We were only playing against each other.
Was it only touch rugby as well?
Yeah, they wanted to do touch rugby.
I wish my dad had marched down the school and said Michael isn't allowed to play rugby.
Yeah, but my dad wouldn't let me play rugby at school, but he sent me to karate and judo lessons.
That's so funny. Need to ask him about that one day. Anyway.
No, because he'd just get angry and start shouting about.
Jenny wraps herself all warm to go and see the match. She's really not happy about it, and Ronnie's there as well, getting his episode count up before the end of the year, finding it all very amusing. She comes back, she's had a smashing time, what a surprise. Seems to have been a bit of a turn on for her as well, because they're barely in the pub for 30 seconds before she's there kind of teasing him out to the back and kind of ushering maybe upstairs, or maybe they just had some cake in the back room, I don't know, but whatever it was pretty sweet, because they end the episode snogging each other's faces off and making some hilarious innuendo-filled remark about his tackle. And that's the end of that story. Gemma.
Is that the end of that story?
It was a short one. I wanted to put that first because I wanted to get the Christmas sing-song as the first story that we talked about, because then when the other stories say, and everyone goes for a Christmas sing-song, and we know what Christmas sing-song we're talking about, because there's probably some people listening to this who haven't seen it. I don't know why you would, but apparently there are. Maybe people are interacting with family members instead of watching Coronation Street this Christmas. We'll see the viewing figures later on in the news section that there were one or two people in the country that weren't watching it, let's just say. How did you enjoy this week's Daisy and Jenny stuff, Coxie?
Daisy and Jenny stuff.
Yeah, so you just heard me talk.
Yeah, all right, Michael. The thing is about this week is that I've kind of divided it rather than into stories, but into days.
I know.
So I'm really, and you started off going on about the Christmas Day episode, and I'm just confuddled now. Honestly.
I enjoyed this stuff on the whole. I'm thinking that still Daisy is continuing to improve. And I know what Sal said when I talked to her a couple of months ago, that, Daisy can't just be nice all the time because that's really boring. But I am enjoying seeing her being nice. And I know she's still got her nasty, bitchy side that I'm sure will come out again. But I'm enjoying seeing her, opening up a little bit, showing her vulnerable side with the intercom message for Daniel. I did get kind of sad for her when she went off to the market and Daniel was there snogging Lydia's face off, and she had her panda eyes and everything. I am really, really enjoying Daisy at the moment. She is ace, and you wouldn't have caught me saying that this time last year. But I was a bit down on both her and Rita for clearly dumping Rita for Christmas Day.
Her and Jenny.
Her and Jenny. Yeah, sorry. They were supposed to go to Rita's, weren't they?
I know.
Rita managed to get her. She was in one scene at the beginning of the Christmas Day episode. She didn't even get to sing. Why they had a massive sing song on the street?
Didn't invite Rita.
It's because it's probably Barbara Knox saying, "I'll be there as long as you put me right in the centre, spotlight on me." And they're saying, "Sorry."
Daniel Brocklebank's like, "No, I refuse to perform if it's not going to be me
on the piano
headlining. Babs has stolen her last song from my lips."
Don't you know that I'm a soapstar superstar, Daniel Brocklebank? No, I think he was. I think he did we did that show, didn't he, a few years ago, where he said, "Look at me pipes."
Oh, didn't Cat Tilsley was
just spoiling the news section. There's not much news this week, Gemma. You're not allowed to talk about it.
Don't pretend you didn't hear that, everybody.
I think that Rita wanted to have the whole stage for herself, and they're like, "Look, we're trying to get half the cast on socially distanced 2 meters spots from each other. We can't give you just have to go where you put Barbara. She's like, I'm out of here.
I'm not doing it.
Screw you. Where's the gin?
I don't share the billing.
I felt a little bit bad for her because Daisy was clearly not interested in spending any time with Rita and Jenny. I mean, it was still midway through the afternoon.
You don't know what they did after this. They could have all gone
back to Rita's,
and she would have gone. My potatoes are ruined.
I don't know. I felt bad for her. That was all. I still think that though with Daisy and Jan.
Daisy and John.
Sorry, I'm just a little bit windy today. We just had
we really. For lunch. I'm sorry, we shouldn't.
We
have
had a massive burger, and I couldn't finish it, and that's not like me. Ugh. I still think that Daisy and Daniel are inevitably going to be getting back together now that they've set up this. Oh, they're right for each other, but somebody's whisked Daniel away, and I am. Again, very surprisingly to myself, all for this rekindling of their relationship. I think they could be quite good together. But then maybe Daniel and Lydia have got possible potential. I don't know.
Daniel and Lydia?
Well, yeah, because, reading the same book together. What more do you need? The thing is, we don't know enough about Lydia yet to be able to say whether she's a right match for Daniel.
She seems to me very much like Phil is. And everyone keeps talking, like, I've heard some people online going, oh, Phil's mysterious. He's up to something. I think he's sinister. He's got some tricks up his sleeve. He's just a plot device. I think it's the same as Lydia.
Well, Lydia is kind of in there as a plot device for Adam, isn't he? And isn't she? And so with Daniel being related to Adam, I'm sure it's going to cause all manner of mix-ups and stuff at some point in the near future.
Do we need to get somebody in from the genealogy department to sort of just stop people from shagging each other on the street?
Let them at it.
There's too many people that might be related to each other.
Oh yeah, that's quite
not
possible.
That Adam and Daniel are going to get in any trouble on that front. I wouldn't have thought.
I don't think so. I think that's possibly just going to be an extra thorn in the side of the Sarah and Adam story. But eventually, Daniel and Daisy are going to end up back together, and why not? All Next. For it. Leo, Gemma, happy to see him back again.
No.
Surprised to see him back again.
Yeah, I am a bit.
He's a plot device.
Yeah, he really is.
I hope he is, but I thought he'd served his purpose.
I don't get it either.
He was there to... What did he do in Coronation Street?
He went, oh dear, this should have been fixed a while ago.
Yeah, don't fall down there, anybody. I'm looking at you, Jenny.
The floor is terrible. Yeah, I know. You'd think he would have turned up before now and said, I feel a bit responsible for this because I was supposed to fix that.
Has it been fixed by this point? That's what I want to know.
What's he been doing this whole time? Is his job just to come and point out a hole and go, that needs filling up? Because I could do that job.
That's a bit big, that hole, isn't it?
Look at that massive hole.
Yeah.
You're in trouble with that one, I think.
I don't know. I mean, I think that we are now to believe that the sinkholes, all of the sinkholes, the many numerous sinkholes that opened up 2 months ago have now just been filled up. Don't ask any more questions,
the moral of the story is, right, if you've got a problem... leave it long enough that it becomes impossible for you to fix because it is too expensive, but then allow it to get even worse to the point at which it becomes a natural disaster and therefore it's not your responsibility anymore, it's the local council.
And then it just solves itself. Very efficient local council, I have to say.
Because Maria and Sally haven't been voted in yet.
I didn't want to see Leo again. I think it's... I think that I've talked about.
You just want all your Corrie women to remain virginal forever and unspoiled, just like Queen Elizabeth I.
No, I think that having Jenny paired up with somebody
flame-haired
nice. Queen. Yeah, I just think that he is oddly young for her. But I've talked about this on the podcast before, and I've also had I'm just insulting the same listeners every time when I say that age gaps are a bit odd for me. I think that you should only go out with somebody who's in the same year with you at school. That's what I did to Gemma, and it served me well.
And even then, you still make fun of me because you're 9 months younger than I am, and you will not let me forget it, and you make a big deal about it every year.
It just feels a little bit like they've run out of stuff to do with Jenny. They don't know what to do with her at the moment, and it's like, oh, she's been single for a couple of months now. I know that she had got over Johnny before then because they had a long farewell, hadn't they, those two? But I was quite surprised at how eager she was to say, stuff him, is a hot young rugby player for me to jump into bed with. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is a good story coming up with that, but I don't see them going anywhere as a couple. I don't know.
I'm not really fussed on Leo. He's not got a personality yet.
No, that's the problem, and he's had a few weeks to try and develop one, but clearly not managed it. I wonder whether Jenny's like.
Here's a newsflash, right? What? This one's for all the men out there.
That is me. Sports,
not a personality, and then because I don't want to be sexist to all the women. Shopping, also not a personality. So if that's all you've got going for you, develop some new hobbies.
Podcasting, is that a personality? Definitely.
That is one of the most insufferable personality types of all.
I wonder whether Jenny's like going to regret it, whether she's going to, wake up the next day in bed next to Leo and go, "Oh, Johnny, what have I done? I've besmirched your memory or something."
Don't know.
There's no story there either, is there?
A little bit, to be honest.
Very odd. Nice. Always good to see Jenny in the show, doing something other than getting drunk, as fun as that is. But is this the direction the character needs to go in? I don't know.
She should try getting drunk at rugby.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, right. Let's move on to the next story then. This is going to be a long street talk as it is anyway. Nina Wright's State. What's Nina going?
Staring at us from a car.
I know, just ignore them. Ignore them. They wonder what we're doing with the window.
I'm sitting in bed.
Sitting in bed.
In the afternoon.
Talking into a microphone.
With a half-blind cat.
Person in the car outside. Nothing wrong with that.
What are they doing?
They're just reversing around the close.
Okay, right.
Nina,
on Friday, Nina, Carla tells Nina that Roy has replied to her 6 millionth email, given her his landline number, and he says he's fine and he's going to call her tomorrow. Nina tomorrow. So she's spoken to him. He's fine, and he's going to give.
Phone call from Roy.
Yeah. Nina tells Ashley.
On Christmas.
Nina tells Ashley she's having Christmas alone because she doesn't do Christmas.
I said Ashley here, so you just read them. This is the thing with this.
Who's Ashley?
Ashley is Asher.
Oh.
It's also correcting all over the place.
I just ignored
that.
Not
Ashley the footballer. Asher.
Carla comes into the cafe and says, "Come for Christmas," and she says no. Tell you what. It's really lovely that she has the option to decide if she wants to do Christmas or not, but I feel really bad for everybody who has to spend Christmas by themselves and doesn't get 500,000 people bashing down their door trying to ask them if they want to spend Christmas.
I know.
She's blimmin' rude, she is. On Saturday...
Christmas Day.
Abby says, "Come for a snowball around my house." And she says no, because Roy's going to phone me up. And then Asher brings Nina a bangle for Christmas, and she says, we got Dev a life-size cardboard cutout of his naked calendar shoot, which is hilarious. And where is that?
Exactly. Why didn't we get to see that? Come on. That would have been a good Christmas present. Teasing us.
That would have been a good thing that they could have got in the papers with. Corrie fans aghast at Christmas gaff as Dev gets his sprouts out.
Yeah. It's a particularly hairy kiwi.
Okay, she did a little come round. Nina says, "I can't come over, I don't do Christmas." Again. And I don't understand why Asher didn't say, "We're Hindu, so I think you can decide whatever you would like to put in the beginning of this day. It doesn't have to be Christmas. It can just be National Festive Holiday Day." Anyway.
Nina doesn't do festive.
That's what she should have said. You can do whatever you like, I don't care. It's just the way... She has
started to incorporate a bit more red into her wardrobe as we're getting closer to Christmas, though, to be fair.
It's one of these things where I don't... do Christmas or don't do Christmas. But again, like sports and shopping, it's not your personality. You don't need to be so attached to not doing Christmas that you have to tell everybody all the time.
But she wouldn't tell people if they'd stop inviting her. Next.
What does that mean anyway? You're going to be alive on Christmas Day, aren't you?
Yeah, but she just wants to spend Christmas Day wiping the.
What she means is, she doesn't mean I don't do Christmas. She means I mope on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different thing altogether, isn't it? I just don't like people that are, what's the word? Wallowing. That's what she's doing. She's wallowing in her lack of Christmas spirit. And what happened to the last person who did that? It got visited by a series of ghosts.
That'd be cool. She'd love that, wouldn't she?
She would think that was fantastic. She'd suddenly love Christmas after that. And also,
Ghost of her mum, ghost of her dad, ghost of Seb.
Yes. That would have been great. Also, if Nina is so up on her history and Victorianism, she would know that the Victorians created most of the festivities surrounding Christmas and the traditions, and she would probably be a bit more into that. And she'd also be into the tradition of Christmas ghost stories, which is kind of a lost art these days, isn't it?
Yes.
Christmas used to be a time for ghost stories.
I've learned this over the last few days. You taught me that.
Yeah, because that's why Christmas Carol was a ghost story. Because that used to be that's what you did. It wasn't Halloween you told ghost stories.
Well,
It's
there are
Christmas.
hopefully plenty more Christmassy futures for Nina, and she can do a Christmas ghost story.
And in Japan, the
come.
time for telling ghost stories is summer. Okay. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so she says, look, I'm not going to do Christmas. I'm going to go home and I'll let you know when I'm home safely, which is like, that's weird because you live around the corner. She sees Carla outside and they sort of gather around the Argos advert so that they can get their money. This makes me think that, like, at the end of the year, Argos was like, well, ITV, we've been looking at how often we've been on the show. We really liked the expanding coffee table thing. That was good. But where's our giant Christmas advert? So they had to put that in.
They had that, and they had a very obvious Happy Christmas from EE on Christmas Day as well, didn't they? It was blatant. It was.
What's the co-op doing? You. Co-op marketing people need to get on this. And now we've seen this scene where Sarah had her magical coffee table. Every single time I'm looking at a set that's been slightly done up. I'm like, what bits of this are from Argos? When we were in when the viewers were watching Tyrone in Emma's flat, or his flat or whatever, I was like, there's a pink chest of drawers there. I wonder if that's off Argos. Oh, look at that. Look at that laundry basket. I wonder if that's off Argos.
I'm not thinking this.
I am. I'm really distracting myself. Anyway, they have a conversation. Carla says, Father Christmas is bringing you something very special. And she goes, don't do Christmas. Later on, Nina's giving the cafe a clean. She looks at her phone. Where's Roy? Why hasn't he phoned her? And then she turns around and he's there. And presumably she says, I don't do Christmas, so you've got to come back tomorrow.
They have a lovely hug.
I was gonna call her a hypocrite liar when later on they start pulling crackers and they're all black. I was like, Nina, this is preparation. You've got black goth crackers and you don't do Christmas. But it turns out they were a gift from Asher, yes. So her hands are clean on that one. But they also had black Christmas hats too, didn't they?
I thought it was, it's cool.
Can you get those from Argos? Please let me know. Roy says, I was in Peru, I realised it's kind of dull here and they can solve their own problems.
I don't know why Emily stayed here so long.
I promise I will look after you and I'm sorry. And she says, I'm having panic attacks. And he's like, well, that's a bit of a downer, isn't it, on Christmas Day? She also starts to pretend that she's reading a joke, which is, what is it to do with?
I don't remember.
What did you hear the one about the uncle who abandoned his niece?
Oh yeah.
What do you call an uncle who abandons his niece on Christmas Day? And Roy's like, well, not me.
I literally came
back. I'm here. Do you know how much it costs to get from Peru on Christmas Day? Right, they go outside and they join in the street party.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-whoop.
And nobody's like, hey, Roy's back.
Nobody goes, Nina, get out. Come back tomorrow.
We don't do goths.
You don't do goths on Christmas. Sunday, I'm sorry everybody who has a good reason to not do Christmas. It just kind of... It always seems to me to be people that want to tell you they don't do Christmas in the most obnoxious way, as though you're doing something wrong by enjoying Christmas. Do you know what I mean? It's like the most simple holiday of just eating chicken or turkey or whatever. Anyway, on Sunday, Nina's getting texts from Asha and she's avoiding them. She's inviting her to Christmas meal at the bistro. Apparently she doesn't do Boxing Day either. Roy tells her she needs to tell Asha about her anxieties if she wants the relationship to endure. So while they're at the bistro, Nina opens up to Asha about how anxious she has been and she feels that she's cursed and everyone's going to leave and she's going to lose everybody. And Asha says, look, why don't you track me? Because this will be the solution to a healthy relationship, is that you can see where I am at all times. And at no point will there be an awkward situation whereby you assume something according to the location on the phone that I'm at, and it's actually a big misunderstanding, but then we fall out about it.
That's definitely got future story potential right there, hasn't
it? Or she's going to get kidnapped by somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, she's going to get beaten up and left for dead somewhere, and Nina's going to be able to find her, or she's going to go off with some other guy, maybe.
Yeah.
So some way I think, and it hasn't come up again later this week, has it? Although there was a time when Nina, I think it was maybe the next day, that Nina was worried where Asher was and that her phone had run out of battery. But I think that's just been snuck in there so that we can have another trollop tracking storyline coming up.
Are you calling Asher a trollop?
No.
On Monday.
You don't have to track trollops with the trollop tracker.
It's just a bonus.
Yeah.
On Monday, Nina's had a good night's sleep.
I've seen pictures are on the internet, you know. As Dev tries to get that video down. on
Monday, Nina's had a good night's sleep because she feels like the weight and anxiety has been lifted. Because
Christmas is over. Boxing Day's over. There's no special day.
Nobody's inviting me round
for the 27th of December.
For their stupid festival activities. So Ashley's going to take her shopping. They come back. She's in a good mood. Roy thinks that something's gone mouldy. I don't understand what that's got to do with anything.
He just mentioned it.
Oh, it's because it's a Christmas present, isn't it? It's actually a mouldy Christmas present.
No, there's a particularly ripe wheel of cheese that he finds in the back. And that's
I thought it was because it was a mouldy old chess set from the 1936 Nottingham
chess tournament. No, but that was a nice scene, wasn't it?
It's widely considered to be the greatest tournament ever.
I thought that was really cute. I should have looked up whether this was actually a thing.
No,
the
I'm
1936
really
Nottingham chess tournament. Nina gives him this proper antique chess set with all the pieces there, apart from a missing white knight. So she gives him a little train instead. Yeah, and I thought that doesn't even fit on the square, but it goes on its end.
She thought of that.
She did, and then it's got a little pointy hat like a bishop and everything. Well done.
Well, I tell you what, it doesn't even have its own Wikipedia entry, the Nottingham 1936 chess tournament. I'll read this directly from Wikipedia. The Nottingham 1936 chess tournament was a 15-player round-robin tournament held on August the 10th to the 28th at the University of Nottingham. It was one of the strongest of all time.
What makes a good chess tournament?
Dr. J. Hannock wrote, when it comes to awarding the plum for the greatest chess tournament ever, in 1936, the Nottingham tournament was certainly just that. And W.H. Watts wrote, the most important chess event the world has so far seen.
Crikey.
Bloody hell.
I want to know how much this chess set must have set Nina back then.
She kind of made it seem like she just sort of stumbled across. And also, why isn't this not in the hands of somebody who's a great chess aficionado?
Well, it is now.
It is now, isn't it? Anyway, I just love that that's real. That's so funny. I guess B-flat also must have been real then. Yeah. They wouldn't jerk us around at Christmas, would they?
Did their research this week.
They really did. Do you think they just Googled best chess tournament ever?
Yeah.
UK.
Yeah. He offers her a game.
I don't know. It looks like...
I think she beat him. I can't remember.
He loves the gift anyway.
He must have let her win.
She's happy. She gives Asher a drawing of the two of them together, which pointedly she gave 2 days after Christmas because she doesn't do Christmas. Asher gets home later and tells Dev how happy she is that Nina is on her way up, and she's going to go to Nina's to watch Spirited Away again. Very good film. Asher gets to the cafe to find Nina's panicking now because she didn't know where she was because Asher left her phone somewhere on charge, and Nina's gone she's a mess now and she's freaking out. The end.
Can we talk Roy's return first, Gemma?
That
was a storm in a teacup, wasn't it? That was a big hoo-ha over nothing. That was a bit of a mountain out of a molehill.
Well, somebody pointed out on Facebook, and again, I'm really sorry because I don't remember names very well, but that Evelyn's been away for 3 months.
No, that was me that pointed that out.
I don't remember people's names.
That was me pointing it out on WhatsApp the other day.
On WhatsApp? I
think it was on WhatsApp.
Well, there you go. See, this is even more reason for people not to
also
be offended
owned by Meta.
when I can't remember who said what, because I don't remember what you said to me or where you said it.
Christmas Day,
There was a man in the kitchen the other day asking me for a cup of tea, but I just ignored him.
Christmas Day, I think, was the first time that we'd seen Evelyn on Coronation Street since like mid-September. Where was everybody saying, yeah, Evelyn's back, hooray, yeah, get out the bunt and Evelyn's back. Nobody.
I do really think that...
Did people really, really think that Roy had gone? Maybe if you rewind us back 4 weeks in the podcast, we were probably maybe saying, oh, what if he is gone? What if he's done an Emily Bishop? But I think we were going to see him back. And the fact that he's back after a month just makes it seem like...
Somebody at Coronation Street was listening to our Christmas Tropes episode, and they went, we haven't got a returning character this year. What should we do? Let's get rid of somebody for a month so we can bring them back.
And say it's a return.
This is like a plot, a soap plot where somebody loses somebody's pet. so they can find it again. That was in Downton Abbey, wasn't it? The guy who used to play Liam Connor stole Professor Downton, whatever his name is, Lord Grantham's dog, Isis, and chucked her in the woods. And then he was going to rescue her so he could be the beloved foot putter on her, whatever it was.
And so the Corrie writers chucked Roy in the woods of South America.
Go, look, we found him again. Isn't this a Merry Christmas treat?
Also, I mean, there have been other characters that haven't been in it since then, like Toya and Imran. They also had not been in Coronation Street since the episode where Roy went off.
Yeah, but they didn't go, we're off to Peru, we're going, we won't come back.
I know, it's just, I'm just thinking that we didn't really think he was going, and it was really built up to be he's going to be, if he may never come back, but he might be away for a really long time, actually.
Yeah, I did think he was going to take a year or so.
Yeah, I thought he'd gone off on a sabbatical or something, but no, it was literally a standard length Coronation Street.
It was less than a
it was just a little, a little break in the filming.
That I've said this before about Coronation Street. They need to be careful with this, because they do this quite often, where they will give an elaborately ridiculous reason why somebody is leaving for a period which is inconsequential compared to other people just not being on the rota.
Yeah. And I don't really get why he even came back. He didn't even have a particularly massive revelation. Well, he was just like, oh yeah, I told Nina I'd look after her, didn't I?
Well, I came back because I realised I was being a melodramatic dickhead.
Yeah.
Basically,
and oh well, has Sam got over his mum's death yet? Oh what, he's still not speaking? Oh well, never mind. I'm here now.
I don't care anymore.
Has he mentioned Sam once since he's been back? Since that seemed to be the main driving force of him leaving, because he was
so guilt-ridden.
About the fact that Natasha got shot.
It seems
when
like
he knew
Abby's
that was a gun.
Seems like Abby's not bothered, so I'm not bothered either.
Yeah, Sam's. I don't know. I just felt that it was the whole thing wasn't managed particularly well, and
were you whelmed?
Yeah. I just like when Roy turned up, I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
rather
exactly.
than like, you're right.
It wasn't super underwhelming. It wasn't overwhelming. It was whelming.
It totally was. Meanwhile, Sam is still there, not saying anything.
No, he's saying over.
He's apart from over down the microphone, the walkie-talkie. Yeah.
He's going to start his own podcast.
I'll tell you what, though, they need to watch out with Nina, because we've seen it time and time again. They take a Coronation Street character that everyone likes. It's a nice, strong character.
Normally a woman.
Often a woman, and it is. And then they just dump misery and stuff on her. And then she becomes far, far, far less interesting a character. We're right in the middle of it with Emma at the moment. And I used to love Emma, and I still quite like Emma. But she's not the kind of engaging, sparky, fun character she was when she first came into it, is she? I mean, Abby's going through the ringer as well, but usually she's quite good at bouncing back out the other end. But Nina at the moment, it's like, oh, okay, I get you'd probably be sad when your boyfriend's been kicked to death, but come on, look at Jenny.
It's Corrie Curse, isn't it?
So Jenny's up there rutting with a rugby player at the moment, right. Nina. Why don't you kind of...
See, this is my question, okay? Because it really is the women they do this to. Right? Is it because bad stuff happens to female characters disproportionately on Coronation Street? Is it because we notice more because we're, as a society, more attuned to kind of the misery of women and to sympathise and empathise with women more because they show their emotions more readily? What is it?
I don't know whether it's a
bias.
I don't know whether it's a Coronation Street strong Corrie women. Let's show you see how strong they are. Oh, not really strong. They're going to cry again. Oh, but they'll get through it. I
think sometimes they look back on great Corrie characters and they go, wow, remember how strong Bet was, right? And do you remember when we found out that she had a son? And then he rejected her and how devastated she was.
And then he got run over by a car.
And then she kind of built her up into this even more iconic character because she was strong and brassy, and she had this dark past.
Remember that time that Hilda cried over Stan's glasses after he died? Everybody loves that scene, so let's make all our other strong women cry.
Going back to what I just said about Bet, as far as I remember, Bet probably had 2 or 3 massive tragedies in her life, in a story on Coronation Street,
Mm.
And she was in the show for how many decades?
Many decades.
Emma's been in the show for like less than, how long is she? 5 years? I don't know.
Not even that.
Everybody's died left, right, and centre. You've got to pace yourself a little bit here, because the reason why that revelation made Bet such a strong, rounded character was because we didn't really have any idea before then that anything was less than rosy, apart from she had man trouble.
There was also we've also seen it with Yasmin. Obviously, that's the most recent example, hasn't it? Another very strong, boisterous, charismatic woman who's been beaten down to nothingness from Jeff, and she has come out of it kind of the other way. But I still don't think she's quite back to her full pre-Jeff self. And Corrie just needs to be really, really careful, because they've got something very, very special and precious in Nina, haven't they? And and a wise woman once said that this is sympathy fatigue, and I think the viewers are getting maybe a bit fed up of feeling sorry for these characters, and that there's only so much sympathy we have to give, and then we're just saying, "Oh, shut up, Nina."
Well, this is what's happened to Abby. But arguably that's of her own doing.
Yeah. I think that Sally Carman is also particularly amazing at twanging on the old heartstrings, actually. I'm not saying the others aren't, but Sally Carman is very, very, very good at getting to me when she wants to portray Abby's grief. But I don't need to see this. And I think if I was Asher, I'd just be like, all right, Nina, come back and see me when you're feeling better, because now Asher's been lumbered with the responsibility of being the only one in Nina's life who can make her feel better.
Yeah, but this is quite realistic in that she's anxious about where people are all the time, and managing that anxiety by giving her access to Asher's phone location is not going to help, because it doesn't deal with the reason why she's anxious. She's anxious because she's got PTSD, probably. She needs to go to therapy.
It makes complete sense for the story.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't.
I didn't say you did say that.
No. I'm just saying, I'm wondering if anyone else is saying that. Yes, of course, if she's been through this trauma, these many traumas, it's likely to have some kind of effect on your psyche, like it is having for Nina, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I want to see it. And seeing one of my favourite Corrie characters suffering through it, unfortunately. But yeah, I suppose the other possibility is Nina right? Is something terrible and tragic going to happen to Asher or Roy?
Well, it'd be ironic, wouldn't it?
Totally ironic. Well, if I was Nina, I wouldn't worry anyway, because you don't really need a phone tracker and to track anyone on the street, because nobody ever leaves the confines of the street, do they?
No.
They say they go into town or school, but I don't know whether I believe that or not.
No, that's why they were so thrilled when they put that Christmas market in.
Yeah.
So finally we can
don't
pretend.
have to go to the precinct anymore.
We can stop pretending that by going round the corner of Victoria Street and pretending that there's something there that's not a car park.
Right, talking of Abby, let's go on to what she's been up to. And Core Blimey, she's been up to a lot over Christmas, hasn't she? Making friends, making enemies, making more enemies, shouting at people, being a bitch, and making us cry. So Abby on Christmas Eve is saying, right, Kevin, this is going to be... She doesn't actually say the words of doom, the best Christmas ever, but she is, for all intents and purposes, got her heart set on making this a bloody brilliant Christmas day for the Webster family.
I thought she had a very good attitude, because she said it's just a fancy roast dinner.
Yeah.
And that's all Christmas dinner is. You don't need to stress yourself out about it.
She says she wants tomorrow's Christmas dinner to be like one of those ones on the telly that everybody sees and vomits because they're so happy.
Yeah,
nice.
I do that all the time.
Yeah. So, later on, Kevin comes back home and Abby's pretty narked, because she turns out, and I quote, the turkey needs 48 years to defrost. Because she's never cooked an actual turkey before. She's just had her Twizzlers, hasn't she?
Right, Abby, listen carefully. Fill the sink with cold water and put your turkey in there. And
she can't have Kevin's underpants are washing in there at the moment.
Changing the water regularly until your turkey is defrosted.
Well,
you're welcome.
Kevin says, let's get a turkey crown. And she's like, oh, turkeys don't need hats. I thought that was a bit of a silly line. But then, she says, oh, good job it's just us two for, and maybe Jack, I suppose, for Christmas lunch tomorrow, because it's going to be a disaster. But then there's a knock on the door. And who is it?
It's unexpected children.
It's unexpected. It's the siblings. It's Charlie and Lexi. They're back. They're like, you think Roy's going to be the only Christmas return this year? Well, tell you what, we get in there first. How nice. How nice to see the twins again. This was our prediction from last week, wasn't it? That the twins would make a reappearance again. I couldn't work out whether they were played by the same actors at first, but they were.
No, I think they used two different ones. I know they're twins.
Nah, shut up. And then Abby gives them a big old hug, and it's very lovely. So
and then she makes them go on a walk.
Yeah.
Well, way to make sure they're never coming back at Christmas.
To go on a walk, and then she takes them back to the foster dad, and he's like, "Oh, I'll bring them back tomorrow if you like." I'm a bit sick of them actually.
Do you know what? There's nothing I want to do less on Christmas Day than spend it with these horrible children.
So what it transpires happened was this was the note that Kevin found last week. Seb had found out back in, let's say, April at the latest, that the family would be back in England for Christmas, and he was even arranging way back then, before getting beaten to death, that they could come and see Abby for Christmas Day. And isn't that nice? It was a little Christmas present from beyond the grave for Seb.
I'd be side-eyeing any foster parent who adopts children and then says, I'm not really fussed on I don't do Christmas, so do you want to take the kids?
I know. And like, that's it. We see,
presumably they've come back because they live in Australia, don't they? They moved to Australia.
Yeah.
They did live in England before then.
Yes.
So presumably they've returned, right, for Christmas to their home country to meet with friends and family, right? So have all the friends and family gone, can you not bring those two children that you adopted because I want it to be family only, you know? Don't want a couple of strangers, like drug addicts children.
I know someone who I can palm these off onto for a day, maybe two.
She'll be thrilled. She's a drug addict. She's dumb.
And so they come back on Christmas Day and they kick a football around with Jack for a bit, and then they have tea without Jack. I don't know where he was then. Then they spend the evening playing board games, and that's the last we saw of them. So that was short but sweet. The story ramps up somewhat on Sunday though, because Abby's over at Seb's garden having a look at the Christmas memorial there, and she finds some nice new flowers with a note. Oh, what's this? Says Abby. She goes marching around number 7. Kelly happens to open the door, of course, just for convenience sake, gets the flowers shoved back at her, and Abby's like, right, look at this note. This note you written saying, oh, you're so sorry for the part you played in Seb's death, eh? Well, stuff it. I don't need your apology. Take your flowers back. Kelly starts crying, but Abby's like, not interested. I hate you. And then she leaves. And people around the TVs are going, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? Don't really like Abby at the moment. Meanwhile,
that's pretty much everybody's reaction.
Pretty much everybody on the internet said that. Inside, Ardy and Dev are trying to tell Kelly she don't deserve all this. You didn't kick him to death. You were just there. Kelly says, oh, I can't believe I was so stupid leaving this note. Nothing's going to bring Seb back, etc., etc. Later on, Abby sees the Alahans and Kevin heading out to the bistro. And rather than just, turning the other cheek and saying, no, I'm going to ignore that, I'm going to be the bigger, better person here. She says, I'm going to march right down the street and make a big show of sitting on a nearby table at them and spending the evening making them feel very uncomfortable by just staring at Kelly all evening. Yep. And even when they try to swap seats, Abby's like, nope. And she drags the table across the bistro floor and is there giving her evils for the rest of the evening. And poor old Kelly, she can't eat a burger with 3 onion rings, can she, because of that? Is a good,
waste of money.
Good diet plan, that, isn't it? Get stared at. You don't like people watching you when you're eating either. So
no,
I'm sure you could sympathise with Kelly there.
I also don't like being the only person eating.
No.
I'd rather not have anything.
And Abby's there going, oh, I wonder if you're worth me doing another stretch for. So she's clearly veiled threats there.
I don't like
veiled.
it when people watch me eat. I don't like it when I'm the only person eating, and I don't like it when the mother of the person that I watch get kicked to death and didn't phone an ambulance for.
I hate it when that happens.
It's like, you're putting me off my food because it reminds me that the guy is...
This bloody bit of meat here reminds me of Seb's skull that was being cracked.
It's too awkward now.
Abby, they go home. Kelly goes straight upstairs.
She should have had a Beyond Burger.
Abby goes to... I bet they've got that at the bistro, haven't they?
Yum, yum, yum.
Abby goes home to Dev. No, he doesn't. She doesn't. That'd be weird. Abby goes home to Kevin and says, no, that's not even true either. I'm just trying to remind myself. I just got a notification in the corner of the screen from Rebecca saying, yes, we can talk about her theory that Jenny is maybe pregnant from Leo.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
I don't know. I don't really mind that idea. So I'm just going to interrupt this. Jenny pregnant, Leo,
Jenny
maybe?
with a baby?
Well, because this is how old Erica was when she got pregnant from Nick a few years ago.
Very well,
and it gives her another chance to have a baby and not drown it. And Daisy loves babies.
Oh, that would be sweet.
As long as Leo's not involved in
I could have a baby when
this.
I'm 50. I think I'll be ready then.
You reckon you'll be ready in how many years' time is that?
About
11 years'
23.
time. So that could be an interesting story as long as Leo plays no part in it whatsoever, apart from being, the donor.
The sperm donor.
Jenny with a baby? Maybe.
I quite like. Yeah, okay, all
Maybe.
right. You've made me warm to it now.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, back
Can
to
I
Abby.
be the
Thank you,
godmother?
Rebecca. That was a good theory.
Can I be the godmother?
Yes.
So that means I'm probably quite likely to have to take the child in. Because the godparent's got to take the child in case something awful happens to the real parents.
Nothing happened to Jenny.
Well, it's a pretty regular thing that people get bumped off on Coronation Street, But, I'd like there to be a silver lining. Well, if Jenny dies, I'll be devastated, but I get a free baby.
You don't want a baby. It's probably be a ginger jammer. Don't want one of them.
Michael, it's not funny.
Right. Anyway, Kevin has to come to the bistro to drag Abby home, and she don't really care about anything he's saying about maybe you shouldn't have done that, Abby. She says, look, drunk or sober, getting rid of Kelly is all I ever think about. Oh, I got it on my mind. Monday, Abby is feeling kind of worse for wear after these Boxing Day shenanigans. She blames just being upset and Kelly being in the wrong place at the wrong time. She wasn't really in the wrong place at the wrong time. I know that just being on the street is the wrong place at the wrong time, but Abby, you could have not followed her to the bistro. Kevin also reveals that Kelly's been kicked out of a job at the barber's shop as well. Did I miss that bit? Have I missed a day?
I think so, because she follows her to the barber shop and she's blocking her from getting past.
I might have typed that into another story.
Well, she's blocking her from getting past, isn't she? And so she's sort of Kelly's saying, "Oh, I've got to go to my job." And Abby gets really offended and says, "Oh, you think you're gonna get a job working around here? No, you're not. Get lost." And kind of Kelly goes off with her tail between her legs and tears in her eyes because she's been bullied. And then Maria sacks her because she.
Oh no! This is what happened. No, this happened. Oh yeah. See, this is where the autocorrect's coming again. It's not Kevin reveals she's not working at the barber's shop. It's Kevin reveals that she's now working at the barber's shop. That
might make more sense.
That makes more sense. Then Abby goes to the barber's shop, and as Gemma so skillfully just explained, she stops her from going into work. Imran finds Kelly all maudlin in the cafe later, but he tries to deflect things by talking about how great Christmas with Elsie was. Not that we got to see any of this. And he says, "So what was going on with Abby earlier?" And then Abby walks right in, and Kelly can't get out the door fast enough. Imran chases her down in the street, and she's saying, "Look, has Abby been threatening you?" And Kelly's like, "No." And then Imran has a go at Abby. They kind of have a bit of a bickering session outside the salon. Abby's like, "I just don't need Kelly here. She's rubbing my face in it all the time." And Imran says, "Look, missus, sorry, but you've done some pretty bad things yourself. Just saying, like, having sex with somebody else." And he earns himself a massive slap round the face.
No.
What?
She punches him.
Was it a punch? I thought it was a slap. Whatever. It was an amazing duff. But sorry, too late to be nominated for the
Ecky Thump Award.
Ecky Thump Award for the year. Maybe next time.
I'm just going to say that I forgot what I was going to say.
Lovely.
It's important to note.
Kevin comes over and sees this because he happens to be there, of course. Imran says to Kevin, it's my fault. I just asked some pretty insensitive things about Seb. I don't know what, but it was definitely my fault. I earned that slap round the face, that punch in the physog. Kevin has a go at him and says, "Look, has she been harassing Kelly again?" And Imran says, "Yes, she definitely has, and she'd better well stop this, otherwise I'm going to get the cops on her." Grr. So Maria goes round number 7 later. She has a bit of a go at Kelly for not coming into work. Kelly had previously told her that she was sick, but she clearly isn't. and Kelly sees Abby walking past. Another lovely coincidental walk past there. And she can't explain herself to Maria, so Maria fires her. Oh dear. She had such a promising career ahead of her as well. Kelly contacts Jacob. Hooray, he's back again. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's making these sporadic appearances, dishing out drugs in dodgy street corners, but good for him. He's still in work around Christmas time, spicing up the lives of the Weatherfield residents. But I don't know how he has any customers, because he does his darndest to try and stop Kelly buying anything off of him, doesn't he?
It's like he has gone to America and seen their advert for pharmaceuticals that get followed by somebody going, may cause anal leakage, loss of memory, or possibly death.
Yeah. And he feels like he has to warn everybody that like, drugs aren't really that great for your body, actually.
He had a big meeting with all the other drug dealers. He's like, listen, lads, and also ladies, we got to go legit with this, which means we got to be seen to be responsible, which means we need to warn people about the problems that they might encounter as a result of our products. But don't worry, won't put people off, we won't lose money. Look at the cigarette companies.
Yeah, that's been going for years.
They've got people with no faces on there and people still smoke.
But vaping is definitely, I think it's overtaken.
I don't think you can you vape spice? Is that something Jacob could look into?
Maybe.
Let's
if
write
I was
that down
trying to make waves in the druggy world, I'd be looking for my new
I think it's easier just to get a job.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, he's like, don't have any drugs, please, from me, because I don't want to be responsible. But she goes and finds them from somewhere else anyway. Because the next time we see Kelly, she's out of her head on the floor, blurry camera and everything. And then she's probably having quite a great time there as well. And then old Debbie Downer Craigie pulls up in his police car and is like, what's going on here then? Hello. Going to take you down the station, missus. But not there long. Brings her back home later. Dev... home, i.e. number 7, remember she's staying at Allahan's. Dev has a massive go at her.
Not happy.
No, he's not. Ardy tries to get him to back down a bit, but Dev is in full-on rant mode. And then there's a knock at the door and it's Imran, and Kevin just blusters out because he's so cross with Kelly.
Kevin?
For what?
Kevin.
Dev goes out. He's mad at Kelly.
He leaves his own house.
Yeah. He's like, I can't be doing with this. Imran, you have a go word with her. And Imran's like, oh yeah, it's not your fault. Abby's driven you to this. And Kelly says, no, I deserve it. Imran says, no, you don't, you're lovely. And then and also we find out that Craig has referred her to a drug support service, and she is definitely going. It's tomorrow, by the way. Imran says, look, there's loads of people who care for you. People want the best for you. There's me, there's Toya, there's little Elsie. Loads of people around here and everything.
It's like 3 of us.
And then Dev comes in and he starts apologising for ranting at her. And I was watching it going, oh, Dev, come on. You were in the right. She needs a few home truths, actually. But then he kind of turns it back again and says, I know you've not had it easy, but my family's had a tough time these last few years. You know, remember that time that video of my daughter taking her clothes off went around the internet? That was your fault, actually, wasn't it, Kelly? So,
Swing your rook.
Yeah, basically. Bog off. My mind's made up. Kelly's begging, and Imran says, look, please, Dev, change your mind. But he's like, no, in the morning, you have to leave.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Tuesday, so we're up to yesterday now.
Shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Abby sees Kelly stomping out at number 7 in the morning. Grr, she always seeing her. She didn't need. I think she's maybe got a Kelly tracker on her phone, like Nina has with Asher.
I think
there can be no other reason why she always happens to be bumping into her.
People are leaving their homes too frequently on this show. Mm. How many people at Christmas, hold your hands up, truthfully, left the house more than like 2 times?
Just to fit the bins out. Is that because Abby works outside, isn't it? She's got a prime vantage point for any enemies that happen to be walking down the street. Okay,
I'll change it then. What teenage girl with nowhere to go is getting up early enough in the morning to bump into a mechanic?
Right, so we have Imran overhearing Maria and Gary talking about Kelly getting sacked later, and he's like, hang on a minute, Kelly's got sacked. That explains why she got arrested for doing drugs yesterday then.
Yeah, you made her go on drugs.
We also learn that he's trying to get a social services to fast track some kind of assessment thingy so that Kelly can go and live with her and Elsie.
Him and Elsie and Toya.
Her being Toya and Elsie and him. And because, I'm worried that she's going to end up in the streets in the meantime. And then the little cogs start ticking in Gary's head. We have Abby and Ardy having a bit of a spat in the shop about Kelly. Nothing much going on there.
No, that was great because he says, she's got herself on drugs now because of you, and she's like, I don't care, it's not my fault.
Yeah, and then Kelly tells Toya that she's no way going to go to this drug support group thingy, and Toya basically strong arms her into going to this meeting. And we have Gary hounding Imran about the social services. You heard yet? Can Kelly move in with you yet? And it's like, no, literally, it was only about 2 scenes ago I told you we were trying to fast track it. They're not that fast. And if you want to help Gary, my old mucker, you can get your wife Maria to get Kelly her job back at Trim Up North. So Kelly and Toya arrive at the support group, and what do you know? Who should be there? Is it Peter Barlow? No. Is it Blanche offering some witty put downs of all the addicts there? No. It's Abby. Abby making a cup of tea, and I think.
And she puts it down and doesn't even drink it because she's so disgusted.
She didn't even know that Kelly was going to be there, did she?
No, she's not. This is not her fault.
It's not her fault. It's just a massive, massive coincidence.
This is probably proves her point somewhat, I have to say, that she should not be anywhere near Abby. Because Abby might well have instigated a lot of this by following her around. But if you can just bump into each other at the local addict support group, I think that it means that you might be a bit too close.
Tell you what, though, it led to some very good scenes. I enjoyed this.
This is very good, weren't they?
Very good stuff. Abby again kind of makes a big show of herself by dragging the chair up opposite Toya and Kelly and just staring them out.
Like, what do you think you're doing here?
But then it's Kelly's turn to talk. It's only Kelly and Abby that actually say anything during the whole meeting.
Everyone
else
bored.
is there saying, I'm an addict too. Can I tell you my story? No, you're not the main character.
I sold my baby on Christmas Day for smack. Can I say something? No,
you cannot.
All right, okay, I'll come back next week.
Kelly and Abby, they've got the floor. So Kelly says, I ain't got a drugs problem. Yeah, she starts to talk a little bit, but doesn't make out that it's a big deal. So then Toya steps in and tells the group the full story. And Kelly's not an addict yet, but she's on that trajectory. And then Kelly kind of pipes up again and talks about how drugs help her to stop thinking about how rotten her life is, about her rubbish mum and her deadbeat dad and everything. And woe is me kind of stuff. And she has had a bad time. And Abby's kind of looking at her, looking a little bit like, oh, I think I can see a bit of myself in Kelly here. This is a bit awkward. She's starting to empathise. Then it's Abby's turn to talk herself. And she says, oh, it's so hard staying on the wagon at the moment. What with Miss Sun being brutally kicked to death and everything. Then she starts tearing up about all the anguish and grief and drama that she's been put through over the year. And gear's the only thing that comes close to numbing it. And then she gets a good old monologue out of it, doesn't she, does Abby?
This was
very
really
well delivered.
Masterfully written and performed.
Jolly good job.
Both Kelly and Abby's parts here were fantastic and really evocative, and that, I don't know anything about what the experience of this in real life is, but I felt a bit more like I understood it after hearing them both explain.
Definitely.
Like, with all the problems that they've gone through, that they just want to kind of quell the sounds in their heads, and this is what happened. It
was a very, very, very good character moment, and they just let it run. It wasn't one of these extra long 10-minute long scenes or anything like that. It was just long enough. It didn't even feel like, hang on a minute, this is getting a bit too long here. It was just about right.
It also was a great way to have an issues-based storyline that didn't feel preachy or teachable, because it came from very honest character situations. And I did wonder at one point, like, why is Kelly on drugs? Why is Kelly taking drugs? And now I understand that the story reason is that Abby can see that if she carries on treating Kelly the way that she has been, that she will be responsible for another person going through what she went through
when she was on rockets to her kids
when she was on drugs, and wondering whose lives is she going to ruin next. Will she kind of feel responsible for Kelly ruining her own life, and also will Kelly end up with children of her own who then she neglects, and the cycle continues forever.
But it's down to Abby at the end of the day to realise, does she deserve it or not? Because I think if you were to have asked her a couple of weeks ago, you know what, I've seen into my crystal ball and this is what trajectory Kelly's life on, Abby would be more than likely to go, she deserves it.
When she was in the shop and Artie was telling her that she was on drugs, she deserves it, because Abby's very self-loathing as well, and she kind of felt like she deserved all the bad things that happened to her, but her main regrets are that she ruined her children's lives. So will she think to herself, well, Kelly's a free agent, so... And also, how much agency does Abby think she had in her own addiction? That's what I want to know. Where did that start? We still don't know the story of why did Abby end up on drugs?
I can't remember whether we know or not.
Well, I don't remember what it is, but does Abby feel like she had control over that? Because that might affect how sympathetic she is to Kelly.
Yeah.
Because nobody made either of them take drugs, but they were there when they needed something
to numb the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it did make an impression on Abby, Kelly's speech. And I was hoping that at the end of the episode we'd have like a little quiet moment with Abby, but sadly that last scene was the last that we saw of her.
I was expecting something to happen between the pair of them too, but perhaps
there's still time. They could still have a New Year's truce.
It will happen.
I think
Abby is an intelligent and self-aware enough person to come to her senses at some point and realise that she's just perpetuating this cycle of addiction and abuse if she continues to push Kelly into taking drugs.
I would hope so, because she is the more mature grown woman here, and Kelly's only 16, and it really should be Abby who's doing the right thing, I think, and saying, okay, I think that's enough now.
Okay, Abby is a grown woman, but she's also got her own history of abuse and substance abuse
I know.
Addiction. And I'm not saying that everybody's a helpless infant and should be coddled, but there are certain, she's still grieving, And I'm a massive Abby fan, and I know that people really don't like her. We got to the end now.
No, we haven't got to the end. Can I just quickly say what happens to Kelly? So Kelly clears out her stuff out of number 7, and then Gary's like, I can't believe you're kicking Kelly out on the streets. I'm going to do something about this. And he rings up some mysterious person on the phone. I thought, who could that be? Is it Laura?
Really?
Is it Sharon?
I was phoning Maria.
No, he's just phoning up Maria saying, Maria, can Kelly doss down in our house at the moment, please? And Maria's like, what the hell? You killed her dad. You've got him buried somewhere. I don't even want to know where. But if it's under the floorboards in our house, I think she may well find him. But yeah, go on, she can come and live here then. But on your head be it if she discovers that you are behind the horrific murder of her father.
Dun, dun,
dun, dun, dun. So sorry, yes, we'll come back to that bit later then. So what were you saying?
I don't remember. People don't like Abby.
Yes. Everyone's just massively turned against her over the past
few days. I don't know
if
it's that, or if it's a lot of people didn't like her at all, ever, and now feel emboldened because she's not she's not covering herself in glory, is she? So I think sometimes when you don't like a character and everyone else loves them, you don't say anything. But then when the tide starts to turn and, the shine comes off them a little bit, you feel like you can finally say, actually, the whole time I've not liked this person because of X, Y, and Z. So I think a lot of...
Tim's had this, hasn't he? Because he's certainly lost his shine. Well, he's gained more of a shine as he's become bolder over the years. But
how rude.
Earlier on, when you didn't like
Still
Tim,
a handsome man.
He was quite a popular character, but I think he's kind of gone down in quite a few viewers' estimations. Not plummeted the same way that Abby has.
That's not at all applicable to this. The only way it would be...
You
yeah, I've said all along.
I told you Tim was an ass.
I said since he started meddling in her political career that I didn't like Tim. Yeah. So, I think it's a mixture of some people have never liked Abby and some people finally starting to think, actually, she's not acting very, what's the word? I don't know. Very good here.
Very grown up about it. I think even if people don't like Abby, I have seen lots of people still saying that Sally Carman is still knocking it out of the park every time with her performances. I don't think there's much denying of that.
And I've said it many times before, I say it many times again, but... you make excuses for your favourites and you condemn even the most benign actions of people that you don't like. So, but Abby's not giving people very many opportunities at the moment to admire her behaviour. But I've also said this in the past too. I think that there can be people that are very forgiving and lovely, and people that are very vengeful. And I don't necessarily.
Are we talking viewers or characters here?
Both, any people, human beings. I think genuinely believe that society functions when both of us work in balance, right? You can't just be forgiving everybody all the time for everything and being nice to people who are going to take advantage of you. But we also can't be, punishing people and stoning them to death for stealing loaves of bread. And I think that it's very rare that you find somebody who has a mixture of both in them. I think I'm a very vengeful person. I sympathise with Abby because I can see myself doing it.
I can totally see you and Abby. Maybe that's why I love Abby so much as well.
I don't think I would. I have great passion, but it's not very long lived. Is it?
Gemma, you've got your list of enemies, haven't you? And I bet that Abby's got a list as well, but it wouldn't be half as long as yours. I can totally see.
I'm very passionate, but it's not prolonged. Like, I wouldn't be able to do this for a week, but I can see myself, like, wanting to mess with her a little bit. Because she killed my son!
She didn't kill your son, though, did she?
I don't see why. The thing is, according to the law, there was not enough evidence to prove that she had, what's that thing that says you're an accessory, okay? Yeah. Joint adventure or whatever.
Yeah.
But she certainly did. By the law, it would have been possible to have said that is what she did. We saw it happen, okay? There wasn't enough evidence to prove it in court, but we saw the actions that led to Seb's death. And I've read of cases that are very similar in which a person who had even less to do with the eventual death or murder of a person be tried and found guilty of murder as an accessory. Just because there wasn't evidence in the fictional court on this fictional TV show, I still think that you can argue that she was guilty of that crime.
And I don't know whether... And
I am fed up talking about it.
Corrie is ever
I don't know if people are fed up hearing me.
I just don't know whether Corrie is ever going to be able to convince some people that Kelly isn't responsible, because you got one half of the Corrie fan base is saying she has paid for her crime. She went to prison for a bit. She was, she's been let out, but she has had time behind bars for what she did. And other people are saying, no, she deserves more. And I don't know how on earth they're going to ever, get those people over onto it.
Right. This is my opinion on this. It's not down to anybody to forgive Kelly except Abby. We had a discussion about this in the car, and you were talking about the fact. Well, we were both discussing the fact.
I was trying to be devil's advocate.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. We were both discussing the fact that some people blame Abby for the murder of Natasha because she brought the gun onto the street. And one prong of that argument is that it's hypocritical, therefore, for Abby to be cross at Kelly because she is also responsible for the death of someone else. And the second prong of that is, forgot what it is. Something to do with...
Great argument.
Forgiving people.
Yeah.
Right? My argument is, I don't care whether you're hypocritical or not. It's got nothing to do with whether you've also done something naughty, whether you can be mad at somebody for doing something naughty to you. The logic doesn't follow. That's not how human beings work.
No, I don't think Abby's going to sit there and go, even Stevens, fair is square.
Secondly, I can't see how you can argue that Abby is as responsible for Natasha's death as Kelly is for Seb's death, because it was Harvey that killed Natasha, and the gun was there. He could have used anything.
Abby just threw that gun into the water.
She threw it away. Like, that's the other point. It's not like she left it in a box that said
coincidentally washed up right next to a murderer.
It's not like she put it in a box that said "smash in case of murderous rampage," is it? She tried to
big flashing neon sign saying Harvey this way.
I'm not trying to excuse the entire thing, but it does feel a bit strange to hear people trying to claim that this somehow means that she's not allowed to be cross at Kelly, because the other thing is that Sam specifically said he didn't blame anybody except Harvey. Yeah. Now, he doesn't know that Abby was involved in any way, but I cannot see him blaming her for Natasha's death, because it really was Harvey that did it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like he was trying to kill her. I just think this is a weird... I don't understand why people are so focused on this as a reason why Abby is not allowed to be upset.
I don't think it's that she's not allowed to be upset, but it's still saying, well, you're just as bad.
I don't get what's that got to do with your emotions. It doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only all it is a reason why you don't like Abby, and that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But I didn't really want to talk about this again because I know it's winding people up that are hearing me saying this about Abby. I just really empathise with her. And I think that Kelly shouldn't be anywhere near her.
Kelly is making it worse for herself.
You might also be surprised to hear that I feel sorry for Kelly too.
She just needs to deal with her problems away from Abby.
I think that they're all acting completely naturally and as I would expect people to act, given the horrible situation that they're both in. And I feel really bad for Kelly that she's made such an awful mistake at the very beginning of her life and potentially on a track to ruin her life because of that. But I also don't think it's really Abby's fault for getting upset with her. And we've seen that Abby's compulsive and reckless.
It was very much in her character. As much as I love the character of Abby, I wasn't necessarily surprised when she went marching into the bistro or whatever. I was still just there going, no, don't do this to Abby, don't do this to Abby, because it was certainly stretching the limits of my love for the character. But I was just very glad in yesterday's episode when they had her open up and think, oh, thank goodness there's something human about her in there. And I hope that the people who Abby has fallen out of favour with, I hope that scene in the drugs place yesterday got your back on her side.
The other thing I think is that I feel as though the pair of them are in a really toxic relationship of like depending on one another to prolong, like, I feel like Abby's displacing all of her emotions about Seb's death onto Kelly and perhaps punishing her, well, more than she deserves, considering that Corey's not around for her to take her frustrations out on. And while she is pursuing and antagonising Kelly, I think the grief of losing Seb is being somewhat dampened because she's not thinking about that. She's kind of displacing her emotions onto Kelly instead of onto Seb, right?
Yeah.
So she's taking out her grief on Kelly.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have to think about how sad she is. She can think about how mad she is, right? And then you've got Kelly who, and I've said this before on the show, that some people who feel like they've committed a crime and they haven't been punished to the full extent, or they don't feel like they've paid for it properly, sometimes will seek out punishment in other forms to try to assuage their guilt. That's what I think Kelly's doing. I think she likes
to see Jacob.
We've had a discussion about this on Facebook, and I agree with some people who have said this. I think she kind of likes this. I think she wants to be punished, and I think she wants Abby to be the one that does it. Why else would she have put those flowers down with her name on it, knowing full well that Abby was going to find them? Did she really think that putting a bunch of flowers down and going, sorry, you're dead, to somebody at Christmas was going to make Abby suddenly go, oh, sure, okay, she is sad. $5.99 from Tesco? Well, that proves it. It's like she left a note going, don't forget about me. I live around the corner and I killed your son.
I don't know whether that can just be put down to a bit of youthful naivety.
No, she said it. She said it herself.
She did.
She recognises this. It's self-destructive behaviour. Both of them. Because Abby knows that she's doing wrong when she's following Kelly around. She knows it.
Yeah.
She knows that it's wrong, but she's doing it anyway. Yeah. And the same with Kelly. They're both in this weird toxic punishment spiral where they're ruining each other's lives because of this terrible thing that they've both gone through. Because if they're in sort of embroiled in this weird fight, then they're not thinking about what's actually happened. And they're not dealing with it either.
Yeah. I'm wondering, like, as well, is Kelly gonna go and work for Jacob or something now?
I hope not, because I'm fed up with drugs storylines. We've had so many years of them now.
I am as well, but they've brought Jacob back for a reason, haven't they? And I mean, he made an odd appearance about a month ago, and then he dropped in a couple of days ago, or yesterday, whenever it was. And it's like, is Corey committed to this character being back or not? And if he is back, then what's he going to be doing? So it's possible, I think, maybe that Kelly could go and work for him. I don't even know who he's working for at the moment, because he was working under Harvey, wasn't he? Is he the new drugs lord of Weatherfield, maybe? Could he give her a bit of a job to do, maybe?
Maybe that can be his thing. He's like Jacob, the truth-telling drug dealer.
Maybe. I don't know. I hope that we see more, because Jacob's great, but he needs more than just to be lurking in alleys. Unless, maybe you can lurk in alleys being Kelly's boss. I don't know.
I just think this storyline, I think one good thing Corey seems to be able to do with this storyline is to get people to like discuss or argue whatever you want to think, and divide opinions about these two characters, because I don't think, despite how much people might disagree with me or me with them, I don't think that there's a clear cut solution as to who is necessarily in the wrong here. Right? And I know that Kelly's a victim and very sweet and pretty and everything, but many people still haven't forgiven her for what she did.
We've seen, because of Sally Carman's great performances, the grief that Abby's been through this year. And
no matter how much you like Abby, like we both do, you can't really excuse her stalking a teenage girl and like staring at her and while she's trying to eat a burger. Yeah. So I did an opinion poll on Boxing Day after the episode had finished. On Twitter to see what people thought, and we had Team Kelly and Team Abby, and I didn't let people sit on the fence. I said you have to pick one or the other, and 62.5% picked Kelly and 37.5% picked Abby. So nowhere near 50-50. 62% of people didn't understand the question, obviously. No, only joking.
I just think that you could ask that question every day and you'd get vastly different percentages.
I honestly wanted to do it every day.
The pendulum is swinging.
It's the same. Wildly. It's a similar sort of thing to Tyrone and Fizz.
Yeah.
Where and I've said this before as well. I think a lot of what your opinion on something is more about you than it is about the situation. And I think that's obvious, but I think people don't often think about it enough, because I feel like I would act like Abby. So I sympathise with her because I can see it's not a good idea. And I also like drama, so I think it's funny because it's not real. They're not real people.
Something that could have made the pendulum swing in Abby's favour was the twins coming back on Christmas Eve, but I think that was a massive
that
dud.
Was weird.
That could have been lovely. It could have been so good. And one of the things that I didn't like about the Christmas Day episode is how that particular story was completely sidelined, and all we got of it was a little bit of them playing football at the beginning of the episode and then playing board games at the end of the episode.
Now, I don't know.
With the musical montage, it was literally nothing. And I was so hoping that we could have got a scene of Abby speaking to the kids. The actors, the little kid actors, I don't know whether they're any good or not. Right. They didn't even need to say anything. Right. Abby could have been opening up to them and talking and saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and that all this has happened, or talking about Seb or anything. But there was absolutely zero. They didn't even need to come back for Christmas Day. They might have just done Boxing Day. I thought it was massively missed out.
I agree with you. I don't know what the acting capabilities of the children are, so I wouldn't risk having a scene where they ask what happened to Seb or anything like that. And I know that Coronation Street made a conscious decision to make Christmas Day as nice and happy as they could have done, and they didn't want anything particularly...
They didn't want any drama, did they?
They didn't want any sadness, really.
No.
But I really think that Boxing Day could have done with a scene, maybe at the beginning, with Abby and the kids at Seb's memorial garden just crying.
Yeah.
Because then we would have... I wonder what the percentage would have been if we had that, when we would be reminded that Seb was murdered, and it's not just Abby being an annoying bitch. She's hurt. Her son has only just been murdered, and it's not that long ago, and it's Christmas, and Christmas is a time for family, and she knows that her family, one of her members of her family is gone, and the two little innocent children also have lost a father figure because Seb raised them when they were children. And I wonder whether they would be allowed to feel vengeful. Are people going to get mad at them if they said that, they think Kelly deserved to be punished more? Because children can be vengeful little gits as well. People think that children are so innocent and sweet, but I can imagine them being absolutely furious with Kelly and thinking that she should be punished. I don't know how much they know about it. Would that have changed people's opinions about whether Abby's justified in what she has done? Yeah. I think a lot of people would go as far as to say that she's justified in her emotion, and I think that that's a nice way that we can all perhaps agree that we're on common ground here about you know, what's she entitled to be feeling about the death of her son? But where people drawing the line is, how does she act upon that? And that, but you know, it makes good telly, doesn't it? Because if Kelly came back and she was like, you know what, I'm okay with it. Maybe we'll wait. You have a son, I'll kill him, and then we'll see how we feel about it. But I'm just going to leave it alone for now.
I'll just stand and watch while somebody else kills him. And then I won't call the police. Or maybe I will, so I can have one up over you.
You can tell me what you think.
Yeah, no, I was really disappointed with it. I thought the moment when the kids came in and Abby gave them a massive bear hug, I thought that was lovely.
The tears in her eyes.
It said more than words could have.
Yeah.
But I needed the words. I really wanted a discussion, some sort of scene where Abby was speaking to them the next day, and we didn't get it. And then I was just left with lingering questions like, how was Feb able to organise this from April? I didn't think they were allowed to have any contact with them.
No more questions.
And so on and so on. Why would they be organising coming back at Christmas in the middle of a pandemic when nobody knows what the travel situation's going to be like? It didn't work, unfortunately.
Wouldn't it have made people rip their heart out and cry tears of blood if on Boxing Day the first scene is Lexi and whatever Charlie leaving and them saying, "Bye, mummy, we miss Seb too."
Yeah.
And then we could have Abby staring at Kelly while she's trying to eat onion rings.
And the other thing, before we move on,
because let's just face it, we didn't see that happen, but you know, at some point this would have been brought up, and Abby would have had to have had a conversation with her children at Christmas about why their brother is dead. Why is he dead, Mummy? Where is he?
I wonder.
I miss him.
I wonder at what point the twins would have been told, like literally, because if they
Maybe
were supposed to have,
well,
they might have been, because they had no contact with Seb or Abby. They were only allowed like one letter a year or something. Seb already had his letter for the year. Were the twins even informed, or was it was it Kevin? But I don't know. I thought he was supposed to cut all ties. I don't know. Yeah. So the other thing that's still lingering, of course, is this Abby and Imran.
I'll tell you what a spanner in the works that is.
I know, it really, really is. Like, just when we're about to be getting a bit of sympathy for Abby again, that's clearly about to raise its head. It already did when Imran mentioned it the other day. I kind of hope that they may be forgotten about it, but clearly not. No idea what the state of relationship is between Imran and Toya at the moment, because have they actually had a scene together this week? I don't know whether they did.
But she's made it clear that once Elsie goes, he's off too.
Oh yeah, but actually what we do know is that Imran's trying to get this social services order so that Kelly can live with Elsie and him and Toya together. So there's clearly something that they're clinging on to. And many months have passed now, so maybe Toya's cooled down a bit over it and maybe willing to have him back in her life again.
To discover.
Just in time for this whole bloody bombshell to blow up. And
such a weird pairing, isn't it?
What? Imran?
Abby and Imran?
I don't know.
Really?
Well...
What, you think you go for him?
What? No.
You're like, what do you
obviously.
mean?
I like a skank me.
That explains a lot.
Okay, right. 9 Danker.
Right, I just want to... Right, okay, listen.
No, yes.
Abby fans and Kelly fans and Abby haters and Kelly haters, I hope that the discussion felt like I represented what you think. But if I didn't, please write in and say what you think.
Yes.
If there's a view that you haven't felt was represented properly, because it's very interesting.
And
everyone's got different.
Yeah, and it certainly brought a lot of debate and discussion and tension to Coronation Street social media this past week.
I don't find it tense. It just kind of. I don't think a lot. I don't know. It's interesting to consider. Why you think. And also the other thing I think is that because I'm slightly I'm nearer in age quite a lot to Abby.
She's basically
a very similar age to me. So we're all primed to kind of seek out in this situation somebody who is most like us. So
yeah.
I don't feel like I have anything in common with a 16-year-old girl. Well, I both got ovaries, but other than that, but Abby, I feel like, I'm also mother of 3. Can really, bloody making those those fish finger sandwiches takes its toll, doesn't it? No wonder she is on drugs.
Right, come on, move on.
Is it my go?
It's your go. As much as you talked about that story, it was me that synopsised it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it was good. You did a good job there.
All I'm doing, I think I talk about things too much when I feel very strongly one way or the other about something,
no such
and I
thing as too much.
overcompensate by over-explaining both sides of the argument. On Friday, this is the
number 9 story.
I thought this was the Nina
it?
story, but it's not.
The 9, not the Nina.
This is the Tyrone and Fizz story. Again, there are two sides to this, just like with Abby and Kelly.
Yeah.
There's the right side,
Team Fizz, Team Ty,
and the wrong side.
Both have been a bit horrible this week, but both of them I felt really sorry for at various points in the week.
Before we get into this, I think we should just quickly summarise the canon that has been established so far.
The ownership
of number 9. Now, Adrian on a Facebook group was talking about this a little bit, and he has looked into who owns what, and he thought that I thought this too, I think everybody did, because maybe it was in the show, Jack and Vera gave number 9 to Tyrone.
Well, Jack did, because he lasted a few more years than Vera, didn't they?
So they gave it to him. Now, everywhere you look, or everywhere Adrian's looked to Google this to find out what the fact in the show was, it says they sold it to him. Jack sold it to Tyrone. So, previously we had thought that he owned it by himself, so his name's on the deeds, which is what he said earlier. And Fizz and Tyrone lived there together. Now, because it was sold to him, it means that they were both paying a mortgage, or she was contributing to a mortgage. And if she has contributed to the mortgage, she has more rights than if she had just been living there with him. Because in this country, if you are not married, you actually have a lot fewer rights than people believe that you do. You almost have no rights whatsoever over property that isn't in your name.
Yeah.
Right? So, the fact of the matter is, if Fizz and Tyrone are not married, but she has proof that she has contributed to the upkeep or bills or mortgage on the property, she has a financial claim. If she hadn't, then she wouldn't have any claim at all.
Well, she claims in yesterday's episode that she's put more than 15 grand in, because that's what he ends up offering, isn't it? And she says all the blood, sweat and tears I put into here and the money.
Blood, sweat and tears don't mean anything.
No, they don't. But I do remember back, let's say 6-7 years ago, there was a story where they had the loft conversion, because you remember Tyrone fell through the floor in the loft. So they have had some works done, and if Fizz has put money into that maybe part of the house is her, but it is mostly Tyrone's.
And the other thing is, somebody else said that, no, that's not necessarily true. Somebody else said on the Facebook group that there was that time that they were hoarding all that crap in their garden because they had troubles with their bills.
Yeah.
If they weren't paying a mortgage, I can't imagine they would be in such dire straits as that. Mortgage is the most significant outgoing, or rent, the most significant outgoing of any household. How could you?
Maybe.
You surely couldn't be in that much of a bad situation if you don't have a mortgage.
It'd be nice.
What are you spending your money on?
Beer, innit? It's pints and their overs. It'd be nice if Corrie clarified it, but I've got a feeling that they're not going to now. They've kind of waved it away by Fizz saying, "No, I've contributed to that."
Yeah.
But unfortunately, as somebody strongly on Team Fizz, with still sympathies for Team Tyrone, there are lots of people online at the moment who are saying, "Oh, she's got no rights. Sling her out to Tyrone. She doesn't own any of this house. Oh, Fizz, what Harridan? She just wants to get a clause into Phil and take all Tyrone's money, and it's not looking good for her."
I don't have a lot of patience for people who don't understand why women often will be given money in divorces when they didn't necessarily put the same amount of money in the first place. If you're at home looking, I know she works as well. She's done the child rearing and the housekeeping and the cooking. I don't know how much Tyrone does, but she sacrificed a lot of her time so that Tyrone can put money and time into his business. By doing that, women enable men sometimes to build a career that they would not have been able to have done otherwise, and that's why women sometimes get a chunk of money out of a divorce than they would do otherwise. And I think sometimes people are carrying baggage from their own experiences of having to give money to their ex-wives or something onto this show, or feeling threatened that as a man they feel as though a woman's going to take their stuff off them for some reason, and they can't fathom why it might be.
I don't know.
But I'm telling you, for example, I think that you would not be able to spend as much time working or enjoying your spare time if I didn't do all the cooking and the planning and you know. Do you feel that I support you in your work? Can you see now what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally see. I'm
just being I'm generalising about gender roles here, but there's generalisations for a reason.
Yeah, I'm happy enough to just go, okay, whatever. So Fizz owns some of the house now.
I just think a lot of people are getting mad at Fizz, and I think some of it is driven by sexism. I think and I'm not going to say all of it is, but I do think there's a bit of misogyny here in people thinking that Fizz should not be entitled to a penny.
I think people don't like Fizz, and they're jumping on this as a reason, as ammunition.
And also, I think some people are sexist. I know you don't want to say that, but I will. Anyway. So that's the situation. We don't really know.
That's the preamble.
We don't really know, do we?
No.
But we're assuming that when Fizz says she's put money in, she actually has.
We just have to take that as okay. She has.
But I will say on the record, if you're not married and you have not got any proof and you haven't put money in, unfortunately, whether you agree with the law or not, the fact of the matter is you're entitled to absolutely nothing, no matter how many meals you've cooked this bloke of yours and how many times you clean the skirting boards. The law doesn't recognise your input, which bit crap, isn't it? But Fizz doesn't need to worry about that because she's got receipts, we assume. I hope she does. So on Friday, Tyrone goes round to number 9. Fizz is busy packing up because she's got a 6-hour journey ahead of her because they're going to take the girls, her and Phil going to take the girls to somewhere or other, Scotland for Christmas. And Tyrone's like, don't worry about me, I'm going to watch telly tomorrow, have a great day, maybe I'll see Kev, it'll be fine. Fizz sees Kevin in the shop and says Tyrone's not coming over. He said he's going to be too sad having Christmas without the girls. Consequences. On Saturday, Evelyn's also on the I don't do Christmas train, along with Nina. There should be an alternative. You know how like Channel 4 has an alternative Christmas speech?
Yeah.
They should have an alternative Christmas dinner, which in Evelyn's opinion should be fish cakes, which she's bought for her and Tyrone for lunch. And then Fizz and the girls rock up because they've decided not to go to Scotland after all, and they're just going to gate crash the party, which doesn't exist. Phil's brought them walkie-talkies, and he's also bought a turkey because he's such a nut-cracking good lad, isn't he? Tell you who could use this? Abby. She's still defrosting hers as we speak. Tyrone takes the opportunity to get a dig in at Phil by saying that Fizz gets itchy skin from the cheap jewellery that she's been bought as a present, and Evelyn's like, just to remind you that they could be in Scotland right now, and who wouldn't want to be there at Christmas?
Nice, Tyrone.
Let's be nice. Tyrone finds Hoop and that's a new one.
Hoop and Roby
in the ginnel with a pigeon with a broken wing. Sad.
Who they christened Vera.
Takes it inside and Phil's freaked out. He doesn't like birds.
That was weird.
Just like your mum.
It is like my mum.
It's not like birds.
I thought that was very odd, and I know we don't know a whole lot about Phil, but to see him recoil and decide, I'm going to go and see my mum now because you brought a pigeon in a basket, I thought that was a bit of a lame way of getting him out of the way so that Fizz could make the moves on, Tyra could make the moves on Fizz.
I don't know how you can say that, considering that you know that someone very close to you would have done exactly the same thing.
She wouldn't have left the house and gone off up the road somewhere.
She wouldn't have left the house. She would have shouted at whoever brought the bird in, because it was her house. But if she'd been in someone else's house, where she didn't have all the power, she might have been forced to leave.
He doesn't come across as a bird hater, Phil.
What makes your mum a bird hater then?
I don't know.
So he goes off to see his mum, Mimi. So later on, they've all eaten. Tyrone thanks Fizz for coming and goes in to give her a kiss, and Fizz tells him off. He's misreading the situation, and Phil comes back to make it awkward.
She doesn't proper tell him off. She's like, "Oh, behave yourself.
Stop doing that.
Behave yourself, Elizabeth.
Catch yourself on." Phil and Tyrone start washing up while Fizz and the girls go out for a walk. Again, another Christmas ruined by a walk. Tyrone tells him about the fact that he nearly kissed Fizz, and Phil gets really mad, slaps him with a washing up glove and challenges him to a fight. So they go outside and they're hitting each other with spraying water at each other. They end up Tyrone grabs his nipples and tweaks them, which I thought was not funny at all and really weird. And like, if somebody did that to me, I think I would. I know I'm a woman, but even if I was a man, I'd say this is actually sexual assault, isn't it? I don't know what. I think it says more about you as a person that you go straight for the nipple tweak. Anyway, he takes a swing at Phil. And this was quite funny because Phil's got such a long reach that he can just push Tyrone back with his hand on his head while Tyrone swings his arms like a cartoon trying to get him.
I love this because Tyrone has always thought that he's tougher than he actually is.
He's always been a bit of a puffed up chest kind of a guy.
Yeah.
And then he makes Tyrone smell his marigolds. Then the ladies in the street return to find them, Phil and Tyrone, fighting in the street with an inflatable unicorn and an inflatable axe.
Sword? I can't remember.
Fizz breaks it up and says, I don't need my honour defending, thank you very much. Neither of you are allowed back in the house. But then they end up at the sing-along and they have fun as mates. So that's all right. On Sunday, Tyrone comes round to the house. Phil pretends that he's still mad at him, but it doesn't really last very long. And then they help them out with the game of Tenable. Is that a board game as well? It was an irritating TV show? Or is it a different game?
No, it was that. Evelyn said she'd recorded it off the telly and she was just using the same questions and Phil was trying to work out how many US states contained a Y. Remember?
Nope.
We definitely watched this.
Wyoming is one, but that's the only one I can think of.
This is when Evelyn did her amazing New Jersey impression, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But Tyrone says, Evelyn, do the thing, do the impression. And she goes... I was telling myself already for this. Now I'm not sure. If you're not about the namaste, then get out of my way. That was
from the Real Housewives of New Jersey.
If you ain't about the namaste, then get out of my. No, way. I can't do it.
Well,
anyway, Maureen Lipman is a proper theft.
Yeah.
She can do it.
That's why she gets paid and you don't.
Yeah.
So, I think you've gone too far, or not far enough. You need to go back.
No, I'm there. I'm just scrolling.
Where is it?
Here, look, Tenable.
Yeah, that wasn't there a second ago. Later on, Fizz and Tyrone let Pigeon, they've called Vera go, and they say she's great or whatever. Bye. On Monday,
but Phil's not there because he doesn't want him to fly at his air or something.
Phil goes to take Fizz and the girls to the Christmas market for the day. The whole
day at the Christmas market, yeah.
There must be something in that mulled wine. Then Hope finds the chestnuts at the market and she wants 5 bags instead of 4. And
this is the 10th time I've been to this Christmas market and I'm still discovering new things. Hot conkers. The seller says, oh, you've got such lovely daughters, and Phil thanks her. And then I think Fizz is like, how come you didn't say anything about they're not really yours? And I think if I was Phil, I'd say, I think she could guess that Ruby's not related to me. No, I thought that Fizz was okay about it because the woman says this and Phil kind of looks at Fizz and she almost kind of gives a nod of go on then. So I think she's fine with it.
You just say, oh, they are lovely, but I can't take credit for it, and then you move on. No one would find that offensive, would they?
No.
I think if you're a stepdad, you eventually will learn to say that phrase without even thinking about it.
But they're clearly wanting to build up this family unit here who are going to be moving off to House with the Goat.
Fizz is ka-chinging at this point because 5 bags, absolutely no problem for Phil.
Yeah.
Didn't even blink.
They call him 5 bags Phil, don't they?
They do, yeah. Tyrone comes around at number 9 to find Evelyn's tucking into Hope's Santa biscuit because she's getting revenge on the fact that they ate her Turkish Delight, which is why they buy her a bag of chestnuts. So it's all tit for tat on Christmas Day in Coronation Street. He seems all chill about Fizz and Phil being out at the market, but he says, I'm playing the long game because I don't want him to nick my family because he'll get bored eventually, which speaks volumes about what Tyrone ended up doing with them himself. He got bored, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's like, it won't take him long. How many years did it take me? Meanwhile, Fizz is telling Phil she doesn't mind about him saying, not correcting the lady about
the whole daughter
being
thing.
It. But doesn't want to lumber him with parental responsibilities. And then he jumps to stepdad. He likes that. I think that's great. Again, not known them each other that long. But this is a soap, so things we need to work out how time moves in a soap, because definitely much faster than real life.
That's those 3-day weeks that'll do that for you.
Do you reckon it's 4 times as fast as?
But sometimes it drags.
Yeah, that's true.
All evens itself out.
Back at home, Phil gets a text from the surveyor. They've looked at the roof. It's not up to scratch, so he's going to have to not move house ever again. And he was going to...
because he's found this massive mansion, hasn't he?
A 4-bedroom. It must be detached. It's got parkland views and a big old garden with room for a goat and a tree house. And it's also got a kitchen island, but no roof.
Not a good one, anyway.
Well, swings and roundabouts. So Fizz is like, oh, you want the children to have a happy treehouse? I don't really feel like I deserve this. And he says, I will take you into my life and the girls in a heartbeat. Then they've got champagne out when Tyrone comes round. And Fizz says, we're moving in together. And he's not happy about this. She says, this is going to be great. We're going to get goat. He says, I don't like this. And then Phil comes in and spoils it before he can say anything. So he leaves. And then Fizz comes around with a pan to give to him and says, thanks for being so nice about me and Phil and the goat. And also, by the way, I want to sell number 9, so can you sort that out, please? So, Tuesday, Tyrone and Evelyn are talking about Fizz. Can I just add something else here?
Yes.
I think Tyrone wouldn't be quite as upset about selling number 9 if it wasn't to fund a goat.
Do you think that's the sticking point for him?
If at the very beginning
if
of
it was
this
a
whole
llama,
thing,
he'd be all for it.
if at the very beginning of all this, Tyrone and Fizz, when he'd walked off with Alina and left them, if Fizz had said, well, fine then, we'll sell the house and we can both buy somewhere separate, he would have gone, fine then. Don't you think? If he was getting Alina out of it...
Yeah, it's because he's left on his own now,
because he's got nothing
it?
left and he doesn't want her to have a goat.
Tuesday.
He's very choosy.
Tuesday.
Tyrone and Evelyn are chatting about Fizz's ultimatum and he's like miffed and jealous. And Evelyn's like, well, I'm going to be homeless, so I don't know why you're complaining. Then Tyrone has had a great idea. He tells Fizz about, I'll sell the flat, he says, and I will give you £15,000 to give to Phil so I can keep number 9. And she's like, no way. Anyway, I think I've put more money than 15 grand into this house, so cough up, Buster. Tyrone is in the yard with Evelyn later talking about how he can't imagine anyone else living there. Evelyn says, well, there's no point moping about it. Then Vera the pigeon comes back. Or she says something about nobody can... I can't remember, but it's something like, here's a sign from above, and it's Vera the pigeon. Mm-hmm. And Tyrone says... Is this a typo?
What?
Vera the pigeon comes and sits on the wall, which Tyrone sees as a pigeon that he shouldn't sell.
Yeah, that is a sign that he shouldn't sell.
Anyway,
my finger slipped and I typed pigeon instead of sign.
Back in the pub, Fizz and Chesney are talking about the sale, and he's like, well, that's funny that you're trying to sell Tyrone's house because you know how much it means to him, and also it's quite a Coronation Street icon, isn't it? If somebody else new moves in, are they going to get rid of the cladding? And then Fizz just think of all the stories that will be in the papers of people moaning about how much they love Jack and Vera's house and all the complaints Ofcom's going to get. Can you not just stop being such a bitch and expecting to get money off of this guy? And she's like, no, I want a goat. I don't know where I am because you've moved the thing.
You're right at the top.
Tyrone finds Fizz in the pub and he tells her straight off, I'm not selling. And then they have an argument. They start shouting at each other and it only stops when Evelyn comes in and breaks it up. And Evelyn tries to reason with Fizz after she kicks Tyrone out of the pub and says, look, you're taking Tyrone's home away. And she says, I'm really sorry. And also, sorry, I kind of made you homeless too. And Evelyn says, well, I'll be fine. But what about Tyrone? This house is really special to him. And she says, yeah, well, special to me too. But he spoilt it. He took all of our good memories and he's just made a mockery of it. And the more I stay living in there, the more I remember all the bad things that happened. So Evelyn goes to see Tyrone in the flat and she says what Fizz just told her. And that she should probably, she says, you should really try to do the right thing by the family and the kids and make Jack and Vera proud. So he goes round to number 9 and says, I'm going to sell. I don't want to, but I guess I'll have to. And she says, I know it's very difficult, but thanks very much. I don't know how much money she thinks she's going to get out of it.
But... yeah, well, the house, I don't know.
I also don't know how much money she needs because £15,000 for a roof seems about right.
Yeah, but it is a roof for a mansion, but it is up north, so I don't know. Are you enjoying this? I I think this is still going nicely. I do wish that it had come to a head like I had been predicting on Christmas Day, and that Tyrone and Fizz had got back together as a nice Christmas miracle, because we all know that that's where it's heading. Surely it is heading for them getting back together. I thought that the holiday would be the straw that broke the camel's back, but clearly it's going to be something related to this house now. I'm thinking we probably still haven't seen the last of Mimi, and I'm really, 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 really hoping that we get to see an Evelyn and Mimi confrontation at some point, because massive missed opportunity if we don't. I'm finding it really fascinating, and I am definitely flip-flopping from one side to another here, and I can completely see how the Fizz haters are taking ammunition from some of the things that she's been saying this week, because she is putting her foot down. But then in my head I'm thinking, no, she was the wronged party here. She was the one who was cheated on, that was cast aside for being too old and frumpy by Tyrone, when I didn't think that she'd done anything to deserve it. So maybe she's right and she should be fighting for him. And I also, she's fighting with
him
or something. I said, yeah, and standing her ground. I think the whole stuff about Tyrone being really, really invested in number 9 is kind of interesting. I mean, yes, I can't remember when he actually moved into that house, because it must have been like early 2000s, so it's been maybe a good 15-20 years that he's been living there. Yes, you're going to have memories of it, but sometimes you just got to move house. And he's got this strange kind of idol worship of Jack and Vera. And again, yes, they treated him much better than Jackie ever did, but I don't think that kind of nostalgic attitude should mean that you can never move house ever.
He's the one that moved out.
Yeah.
He was perfectly happy to not live there.
When he had a beautiful Romanian babe to go back to. He didn't give the house two thoughts there. Also, I'm kind of interested in, when are the girls going to get brought up? And the fact that Fizz is taking his daughter, Ruby, away. And I know that she's been Ruby's mum since, pretty much the beginning, because Kirsty only, she died, she went to prison, 6 months after Ruby was born. But I would have thought that Tyrone might at some point this week have said, also, you're not taking Ruby with you, are you?
But they've already... The thing is, I think that the show's already kind of established that they've decided as a pair that they're not going to separate the children, and that they've both decided, without really discussing it, that Fizz is going to keep custody of the children. At no point has Tyrone demanded equal access to the children, which I think
it's odd, because if you look at Tyrone's priorities at the moment, the top priority is bricks and mortar. Second priority, I don't know, is it Fizz or is it Ruby? Because he clearly does. I think the fact that he went in for a kiss on Christmas Day shows that he does still have these feelings for Fizz. And if she were to turn around and say, "No, go on, Tyrone, let's give you one more chance," he'd get right in there.
I just don't think he's that bothered.
I think it's really sad that Ruby's a distant third.
Nothing he's done,
she's not as cute as she used to be, is she, Tyrone?
Has demonstrated that he's that bothered about his children.
No.
And I'm sorry, but I'm only going off the evidence.
I'm sure he does, but I think the Coronation Street either needs to have Fizz throw that in his face and said, "Do you remember you've got a daughter?" or him to have some kind of realisation.
He's
himself.
more mad about the house,
yeah,
than anything else, which is fine. Being materialistic is like normal. I think we all pretend it's not, but we all are a bit, aren't we? But
it's also because the house has honestly been a shrine to Jack and Vera ever since Jack died, 11 years ago, hasn't it? But I think it's probably healthy for him to move on and just keep the memories, because Fizz said they're in your heart and everything, and I think that is all it needs to be. And also, I don't know whether it is a Coronation Street thing, because they are very hesitant and reticent to make changes, aren't they, on the street sometimes?
That's why it costs a lot of money.
That's why there's always a knicker factory on the street, and we've spoken before on the podcast about in the olden days the face of the street would change a lot more often than it has been in the past 20 years or so. But I think Coronation Street likes it as a shrine to Jack and Vera, and maybe it is time to move on. I mean, number 3 was a bit of a shrine to Emily Bishop for the longest of times, wasn't it? But actually, a bit of a refresh with the Baileys moving in. I think that's probably for the best.
Do you think they'd ever change the cladding?
I don't think they would change the cladding.
Do you think they'd change the paint on the cladding? I think they could change the paint.
Maybe they should, but I don't know whether they would. And I think it's quite an iconic looking house. I mean, the street itself, as you know, a visual image, is quite striking, and I would say it's a lot more recognisable than sort of any other soap street. Like, I know I'm not an EastEnders fan or anything, but I wouldn't say that if somebody were to show me, you know, Walford Street, what's it called, that they live in Albert Square. I don't think I'd recognise that. I don't even know the names of the streets in Emmerdale or Hollyoaks.
I don't even know what the Woolpack actually looks like.
I've got no idea what the Woolpack looks like. But if you were to show somebody Coronation Street with the Rovers at one end and number 9 down the other end and the shop, that's recognisable, and they don't want to change that. But so fine with that. But yeah, maybe the inside does need a bit of a refresh.
Definitely inside does.
They did have a story before where Molly tried to change the cladding, but it started taking all the bricks and mortar down with it as well, so she put it right back up again afterwards. So it has been established in Coronation Street canon that wall is there to stay, unless there's a massive injection of cash. And I think if somebody had that much money, maybe they wouldn't want to move into the house anyway.
I'm not on Tyrone's side here, I'm afraid. I think that he's got no leg to stand on when he instigated everything that's happened. Whether I don't know what he expected to happen. And it also, if he's happy for Fizz, the thing is, he's so entitled, and I don't think he realises this, that he wants Fizz to carry on raising the children. And they've both said that they consider both children to be their daughters. And I know that he's only related biologically to Ruby and not Hope. But you can't have it you can't say that my daughter's 1 minute and the next minute you only want to take responsibility for one of them. So he's perfectly happy for her to keep living in his house and presumably paying all the bills. And I don't know whether they have a mortgage or not, but I assume that they're probably both maintaining their contributions to that, whatever they were previously.
Yeah.
He's happy for her to feed the kids. He only babysits them from time to time. She's also hosting and looking after his grandmother.
Yeah.
Right? But that's fine, but she's not allowed to improve her life in any way whatsoever by moving to a nicer, bigger house. Who wouldn't want to move from a little terraced house with no garden to a place that's big enough for a goat?
I know.
4 bedrooms. And, you know, I don't imagine that Evelyn's going to go with them, but if I was Fizz, I would actually have asked Phil if Evelyn could move with us, because I think it's a bit crap not to. Don't understand why
Tyrone... I thought it was sad for Eva, because Evelyn said at one point this week, like, this is the most settled I've ever felt.
I know, and she said before that nobody thinks about her.
Yeah, but she is also thinking, she's also said, you know, I'll find somewhere, I'll be alright. She's not particularly down about it.
But the thing is, though, there are solutions beyond selling number 9. Like, Tyrone sells his flat and gives her 15 grand and then says, that's all you get it. And he hasn't tried that approach yet. He also hasn't tried the approach of, I'll sell my flat, move into this house, give you the 15 grand, and then I'll take a second mortgage out on this, and then I'll give you the rest of the money that you're owed, which is a solution. The thing is, a solution has to be found when people split up normally. It's only because he's moved out voluntarily into the flat that he already owns that this didn't come up before now. I don't know what he thought was going to happen when he decided to leave his family for another woman.
That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And I have been feeling sorry for Tyrone, even though I'm saying, you know, he's got to cut ties and move on eventually. And I have been feeling bad for him, because I've got, you know, the attachment to my dad's house at the moment, and I said at the beginning of the episode that now I've probably been there for the last time, and it is very sad, and like I've got memories there of my mum and cats.
I just want to say it's a bit different for you because it's changed since your mum died.
Yeah, it has
quite a lot, so it probably doesn't feel quite the same.
Unlike the Duckworth's house,
yeah,
which looks
that's what I mean.
Very similar indeed. No, it's not exactly the same, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, he is the one that decided to leave, and maybe he should have kicked Fizz out then, because I suppose at the time we thought, well, why has he moved out? And maybe it is because Fizz has contributed to it. And we thought it was odd at the time, thinking, well, she hasn't got a leg to stand on here. But maybe that explains why, that it is she does have some ownership, and if he didn't want to risk losing the house, then he should have kept it in his trousers. Really,
I don't want to. Yeah, it just is unfortunate, but that's his. Nothing that's happened is due to an action that Fizz has taken. So I just think it was kind of stupid of him to expect her to just live there forever in his house, if that's what he thinks it is, and never change or move or do anything different. Like, what happens when Ruby and Hope get old enough that they want their own bedrooms? They don't even have their own bedrooms.
I just wonder if Alina had still been on the scene and they'd been happily living above the salon. If Fizzy had moved out there, would he have just like gone, oh yeah, bye then? Or would he have said, hang on a minute, you can't go?
If she had said, I want money, I'm moving out, I think Alina would have convinced him to get some money to pay her off to live in number 9.
Maybe.
I just think it just is logical that if you're going to separate and there's some kind of equal ownership, because he said his name's on the deeds, but she said she's contributed, and they've both done Googling, and honestly, it's not clear cut, and this is why marriage, whether you believe in it or not, it's an institution that protects your financial interests just as much as it does anything else. And if you think it's just a piece of paper, then this proves what kind of a piece of paper that it is, doesn't it? It's a very powerful piece of paper, and it's a legal kind of, what's the word? I don't know. It's a legal explanation of your situation in regards to one another and what should happen. Would you like to dissolve the partnership? So
I would have thought that at some point,
if only she'd gotten into Greece.
I know she was so close. I would have thought that if at some point in the next week we might have one or the other of them going to see Adam or Imran to finding out exactly where they stand on this, because at the moment it's all a bit,
we don't know what's going on. It's very strange.
Yeah. I mean, also at the end of the day, I'm still thinking she's not going to move, is she?
No,
in the back of my head, I'm like,
this is what I'm
enjoying the drama, but they're not going to.
There's not going to be a goat on Coronation Street. As much as we all want there to be a goat, we're going to have to let go of that dream. We know this is all moot, really, because at the end of the day, Fizz is going to throw a lot in with Tyrone back. They're going to be living at that house, number 9. Nobody's going to change the cladding. They might change the wallpaper. It's going to be back to normal at Easter.
Well, yeah, Fizz said that maybe April is when they're moving. I don't know.
I was thinking,
as somebody who has just moved house recently, I don't know whether Fizz can be quite so sure, but maybe it's Coronation Street's way of saying, oh, Easter story, Easter reunion.
I also absolutely love the throwaway line that she said was when she was showing Ches the house and they were saying, oh, when are you going to move in? And she's like, oh, it won't be very long. We just got to sell our house. I was thinking, ha 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 ha. Okay, good luck with that.
I know.
I don't think so.
We definitely know that things regarding property sales definitely do move faster on Coronation Street than real
I can imagine Mimi coming in going, I'll buy this house, I'll check for you right now. And then the next day she's just living there and the paperwork's all been sorted.
Yeah.
Rich people have different ways of moving things along.
I don't know whether I want this to go until April.
I only said Easter because
I said that because Fizz said the date of April, and I think it's Corey's way of telling us here's an Easter story. It doesn't need to go on that long particularly, but I mean, it could be worse. It could be the MLM story still going from this year and going until Easter. I don't know. Anything else for this one? The Christmas Day fight between Fizz and Tyrone. I thought that was actually okay, as much as I was down on Christmas Day, and it was obviously very, very silly. I kind of enjoyed it, although I was a little bit confused about, are they really mad at each other because they're clearly just having a bit of a play fight?
It was just
and if I was
a bit
Phil and I'd been told that this guy had just tried to snog my girlfriend,
I'd be a bit cross.
Actually punching his lights out and attacking him with a real unicorn and not just a blow up one. Yeah.
If somebody tried to kiss me, would you kill them with a unicorn?
I'd skewer them with that horn.
Oh.
Actually, no, it was Tyrone with the unicorn, wasn't it? Okay, well, I'd let them have a go at me with the unicorn, and then when I was at the Christmas sing-song later, I'd turn it against them. Yeah, absolutely.
You need to get a virgin to sing to it, don't you?
Little bit silly, but also kind of fun. And I did like Phil's line of "Smell my marigolds," and he had his rubber gloves stuck up his nose.
But yeah, I hope that Fizz haters didn't mind that discussion. I honestly don't get what's so wrong with her.
I absolutely see both sides on this, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm enjoying it. Similar to Kelly and Abby, really. I can see both of their points of view.
My opinion on this really is pretty neutral, I think, because I'm neither a fan of Tyrone or Fizz. The only opinion I have on either of them is purely based on how they've acted in this story, and I'm totally 100% on Fiz's side.
Oh, who's that at the door? Okay, I'm back from the door, and I wouldn't normally keep that one in, but we have got. This is quite exciting. We've got a Conversation Street delivery. Look, it actually says on the front to Michael and Gemma, Conversation Street, and this didn't come from the postman. It came from our neighbour, so it's probably Warren.
That's what I'm thinking. We googled it.
What does he think Michael and Gemma Conversation Street is?
Jesus.
I don't know, but this was delivered to us. On Boxing Day? No, maybe even Christmas Eve this came, but we obviously couldn't get it because we've been away at Dad's. But now we get a live unbagging of this thing that's come through the post, and I know what this is.
Is it anthrax?
And you know what this is, but and it says sender Mr. Paul Lanigan.
No. Don't be reading people's names out.
I'm not reading those address out. I'm just saying this is Paul. This is Corrie Art Paul, who you might know from Twitter. What? He doesn't mind. I was going to say thank you to him. And I'm going to open this up. This is very exciting because I thought Christmas was over. Sorry, Street Talkers, if you want to know more about what were we even talking about. Are we talking about Fizz and Tyrone? Gemma, do you want to... This is the best. I think this is why people do this on YouTube, because it's probably more interesting to watch. Sorry, I thought I'd be able to get into this a bit more quickly. This is prime podcasting entertainment right here. But this
You're going to disembowel yourself.
It's a very well wrapped.
We've got a nice free penguin bag now.
I think I might have cut it. Right, there's plastic inside. Oh my gosh. I'm getting
polystyrene balls everywhere,
polystyrene
which the cat enjoys eating.
And now, it's wrapped up again. This is like
Inception for bags.
No, I was thinking of pass the parcel. I think you might need to go and get something from the kitchen to help you out with this, Gemma.
No, why?
Oh, there's another. There's another bag inside. Do you want to open that one?
Okay.
What has come in the post? Paul. I know what it is. How long have you been
Michael,
doing
you're not going to believe this.
I think I know what this is.
You're not going to believe this.
What?
It's another bag.
Another bag inside the bag is amazing. There's another bag inside the bag.
There is another bag. Da-na-na-na. R-Ale.
We have got a bottle of R-Ale from Paul. Thank you very much. This is what's been sold in co-ops everywhere up and down the country, except any co-ops around here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
Paul.
It is a clever blend of 3 hop varieties.
I think you need to try some.
No, I'm not going to. I know. I don't want to open it.
You're not going to drink it?
No.
We've got 2 here. You can drink.
There's another one.
Yeah.
Are you joking?
No, I'm not going to open this one live because we need to get back on and talk about Coronation Street stuff.
There's one for me and one for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to drink mine. Mine can be for show, but you can have a drink of that later. You want to have a live drinking on the podcast?
I want to make a nice stew with it.
Are you going to drink it with your mouth?
I haven't got a bottle opener.
Why do you go and get one? I'll talk about what I was talking about. I'll talk about don't knock a gift horse in the mouth. You go and get a bottle opener. So this is weird. So George, our local undertaker on Christmas Eve, is digging for present ideas, and he's asking Eileen what her favourite type of handle is. So far up to this point, he said, "What's your favourite wood?" I think he was trying to work out how tall she was. Now he's asking her what her favourite handle is, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together at all here, but the big reveal comes on Saturday when Eileen goes along to the Undertaker's with George, and she's presented with a coffin with a bow on it. And it's not just a coffin, everybody, it's a bespoke funeral package for Christmas, and unsurprisingly, she's pretty narked about this, because who would want to get a funeral package for Christmas? She stomps right out of there. George and Todd, at the end of the episode, are left high and dry, singing at the Christmas market along with Billy and everybody else. And then we have Sunday. George calls round number 11 to see Eileen, but Todd says no, she's gone off for a walk somewhere. He is clearly, George, still very confused about why Eileen didn't love this amazing present that was probably worth... How much does an extra funeral package cost? Like over £1,000? He's obviously put a lot into this, and he doesn't understand why she doesn't like the idea. But anyway, when he walks off, Eileen pops up from inside, so she's not really gone on for a walk.
You just say that a funeral package costs over £1,000?
Doesn't it?
costs way more than £1,000.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought.
I know, that's like saying it costs over £5.
So George must really care for her. Yeah, welcome back, Gemma. What have you? You got a fancy. Is that a Vera bottle stop that you've got there?
Yeah.
So we've got a lobster bottle opener here, and what is that actually on top of the bottle opener? A bottle stopper, I mean.
A
little phoenix or
no,
something,
what's it
or a
called?
Dove, or
Peacock. I think it's
yeah, little peacock. We'll say it's a pigeon.
They sent this to me by accident, and then they said I could keep it, so I did.
Who did? The bottle stop
Oliver
people.
Bonus.
Oh,
or
nice.
Bonus.
Well, that was a bit of a bonus for you then, wasn't it? But just let's hear the pust in front of the microphone. So there we go.
Oh God, it's going on the bed.
Anyway,
I'm gonna spill it.
I'm just gonna carry on talking while you get your lid off, and then Eileen says, "How did George even come up with the idea of buying me a funeral?" Todd says, no, it wasn't actually my idea, it was someone else. And it turns out that it was Gail what done it. Gail was the one that put the idea in George's head that Eileen would love a bespoke funeral package as her Christmas present. So she has it out with her in the pub later.
Can I say it's not bespoke if you didn't bespoke it yourself?
And she calls Gail deranged and the idea morbid. And then after Todd pulls Eileen away, Gail grins evilly to herself, which I thought was kind of fun. Right, do you want to have a tasting here,
Why are you making me do this?
Because you're the person who drinks alcohol in this family, not
I don't
me.
drink beer.
Can I have a smell of it?
Yeah, it smells really nice.
Oh, God. I hate the smell of...
It smells really nice, actually. It's very...
Is it like coffee, though?
Can I say it's hoppy? Is that a thing?
I don't know. 4.2%
It's chilled,
volume.
but not too cold to appreciate all the flavours.
Go on. A live tasting of our ale.
Tastes kind of... Yeah, chocolatey or... It says malty sweetness.
Is it nice? Could you imagine finishing the bottle
ale.
with glee? Or are we just going to be putting a stopper in that and putting it in a nice stew?
It's very, very nice, and it's a very lovely gift. Thank you very much, because we wanted to get this.
We did want to get some of that. I think that's amazing. There we go.
Put my
It is
pigeon in
stoppered up.
the top.
Thank you very much.
This is great. Well,
was...
we'll make a stew out of it.
Yeah.
And then we'll put it on the online.
We can't we? Amazing. Right. Monday, Eileen tells Todd that it's all over now between her and George. Todd says, look, he's a decent bloke. This isn't worth splitting up over.
And it's actually brewed in Manchester. So.
Oh, of course. It's at the Robinson's Brewery,
yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. So later on, Todd's trying to defend himself when George says that he stitched him right up over this coffin thing because Todd, at any point during the process, could have said, no, I don't think actually my mum's going to appreciate this. And he's like, yeah, maybe I did just kind of want to see my mum's reaction to this. And he promises, though, he's working on her, though. And he's gonna get her to make up with George, lickety split. And to speak of the devil, Eileen walks right in through the door. George tries to explain himself, though he still doesn't really seem to get how weird this whole funeral present is. And she says, "Look, it came across as a death threat, not a present from someone you care about." She was going to say love, wasn't she? She was going to say someone you love, but Corey's not willing to invest that much into the relationship. They want us to go, ooh.
They think we're super hopeful.
Yeah, they think we're on tenterhooks about George and Eileen. I think you got to give us more than this Coronation Street to get us there, but never mind. She admits at the end his heart's in the right place and agrees to take him back. And in the pub later, he presents her with a nice new coat. And that's the end. Is that the end?
I don't think I'd want a coat either.
More than that.
I'd rather buy my own coat.
Well, it was a big, nice, fluffy one, wasn't it? And then she threw the wrapping paper out of the set.
Oh yeah.
Because they were in the booth that was up against the wall, and we saw the wrapping paper just go down the side of the chair that shouldn't have been there. But this is all right. I'm glad that Eileen and George have got some scenes together. I think this is maybe more scenes than they've had together in the whole of their relationship, isn't it? But I did think it was very silly how George didn't get how it was a bad idea. He's surely not that dense. Don't you think?
I just want to say that I don't think that anybody is really going to buy their own coffin, so it's not like you've bought me anything I'm going to use. I mean, I know I'm going to use it, but I'm never going to be buying it. I'm not shopping for it. I'm not worried about it. It's someone else's problem. Of all the things to worry about in my life, I'm not worried about my funeral.
Well, you shouldn't be. If you signed up to the Sun Life Over 50s plan, then
can't.
it's all taken care of.
I looked into this because I was like, brilliant, because I remember my nan paid into one of these because when my granddad died, she was very stressed about how much it cost because it costs a lot of money. A coffin by itself is over £1,000. A solid mahogany coffin from fullcirclefunerals.co.uk is £1,800.
Crikey. How does George have all this money when he's basically given people apology funerals? You know, it's when they first opened the funeral parlour there, he was like, oh, you go, Mrs. Smythe Bottom Fancy Pants, you can have this for free, and don't worry about that. Wasn't she? Todd was saying, you're not running a good business here. How on earth is he able to afford that? He must really love her.
You,
he must really care about her.
How much is the commission on a coffin?
Yeah.
How much percentage? It's like when you buy a bottle of wine. How much of that actually goes towards the wine? Because most of it's tax.
Good point. Yeah. Good point.
Do you have to pay VAT on coffins? I don't know.
Anyway, it was a bit too much on the silly side, I would say, but maybe it was a welcome respite for all the Abby and Nina harrowing scenes that we got to see. I don't know.
I pretty much think mahogany coffin's the top of the line. You know.
Is it? I wonder if she's actually going to keep it.
Well, that's the other thing.
If he tries to take it back, if he says, I've taken it back to get you your coat, and she's like, hang on a minute, the coat wasn't worth half as much as what that coffin was. I want them both, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next story, Gemma. Barlow and Platt Christmas dinner shenanigans.
Right, so Christmas Day, Saturday, Sarah comes round to number 8 with a bottle. I didn't like this. She comes around and she's like, I can't be bothered to do anything for Christmas. It's not like I didn't have any warning. I didn't know it was going to be today. So I've just bought some money for the children and a bottle of wine for everybody else. And the kids are upstairs and David's done the turkey, which is overnight. No, Audrey has started to drink already, which I would do too if my granddaughter came in and said, I've got you nothing. And then she says, I've put 20 quid in a card. Why don't we all just sit in a circle and pass 20 quid to the right? And I've done with it if you're going to be like this about it. Can't you even just buy me a box of shortbread or something, you bunch of buggers? No wonder Nina doesn't want to do Christmas if this is the standard. Anyway, the Platts have arrived at the bistro and David's still stressing out about the cooking. Kids have decided not to come. Daniel's decided to spend the day with Beth and Kirk. Adam's asleep because he's been busy trying to conceive the new Barlow.
They had an energetic night, according to Sarah.
Then we get Peter and Carla Dane to arrive, followed by Adam and Harry, and then Steve and Ken. And then Amy and Tracy go, I can't be bothered either. And then Leanne, Nick and Sam come, and they're like, no, I don't want to, because Shona says that Ken's bought his handbells. So at the moment, we're like 2/3 of the invited guests haven't been bothered to either leave the house or actually get through the door. Later on, they've eaten the dinner, and Audrey is trying to put brandy on the pudding, and Carla's all the way through keeps going, can we stop talking about alcohol and offering Peter alcohol because he's an alcoholic and he can't have any? And Peter's like, don't worry about it, and Audrey's like, he doesn't care, where's the brandy? And Carla's getting really annoyed, and Audrey's just oblivious, and Peter eventually has to say, I don't even eat Christmas pudding, so it doesn't make any difference.
I thought that was weird. Why would Carla not know that Peter doesn't like Christmas pudding? I think if you don't like a Christmas pudding, everybody in your family knows, because it's going to be a discussion every year. Everybody knows who in my family doesn't like Christmas pudding, because nobody likes it in my family. Everyone likes it in your family.
Yeah, I thought Carla was big. I understand. I think she's in the right on principle, but in this situation, she's just being a bit annoying, because it's like, well, he's not eating it, and you've brought an alcoholic to a Christmas party where everyone's drinking, and then you're getting mad about it afterwards. You should have established some rules before. But they also should have been a bit more sensitive.
Maybe. Peter really doesn't seem bothered about it. So I think if I knew that also Peter wasn't bothered about it, I'd be like, yeah, bring on the brandy.
Or I'd say, is there something he can have that isn't alcoholic? And they would say yes or no, wouldn't they?
There's a lovely chocolate bomb in the fridge.
And the other thing I think, which is an obvious thing, which Carla wouldn't know because she's never cooked a day in her life, but it's got alcohol in it already, Carla. That ship has sailed.
Yeah.
So, Dave...
What?
You just put your finger up.
I'm just saying we're at the top of the page now.
I thought you were saying stop because you need a wee.
No.
David's gone home And Sarah's annoyed because she's planned everything, and then now it's time for pudding, and then I guess they eat it. We don't see that, and then Ken starts passing the bells out. Audrey decides she's going home to Grasmere Drive, and Steve says, "I'll take you," and so even more people have left, and then Ken and Gail decide to go to the pub, but it's closed. They leave Sarah and Adam alone in the bistro, presumably shagathon, and then
on the table.
Gail and Ken end up at the sing-along.
And that was
so,
that.
Again, a very whelming story.
That was. We'll come back to that because the story then takes a break until Tuesday, didn't it? It came back last night, and I was like, I don't really need any more of this.
Tuesday, Adam's back at work. Sarah's like, "You should be at work on my cervix," and he's like, "Well, I've got to do this boundary dispute," and she's like, "You're disputing my vagina," and he's like, "No, I've got work to do," and she's like, "Working on my uterus." He's like, "No, I don't get paid for that."
Upfront about the amount of sex that she's getting, isn't she? She doesn't care who knows that she's been at it all night.
Yeah, I don't want to know about
Keep it to yourself, love.
Sarah chats with Lydia, and she's talking about. She says, "I'm glad your little fling with Adam didn't get in the way of our friendship." And Lydia says, "What little fling?" Gets offended. Obviously, there was a more serious aspect of this relationship between Adam and Lydia that we don't know about yet. Daisy talks to Sarah about how Adam is a chip off the old Barlow block. If the story's about Ken, to be believed. Barlow by name, Bar very low by standards, she says. Sarah confronts Adam about Lydia's reaction, and he changes the subject by saying, "Let's go shag in a hotel on New Year's Eve."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Ovulation window closed. No more shagging for a month."
I'm not interested at all in the Adam and Sarah side of this. I don't know whether there's anything more you want to say about that, or do we just talk about how the Christmas dinner thing didn't quite live up to expectations?
Well, I think it's clear that there's going to be some kind of conception issue problem, or he's going to end up being the father of Lydia's kid,
Finn.
or
I quite like Lydia, but I'm just not interested in every other line from Sarah being about, "Come on, drop your drawers, mister."
The most unexpected thing that could possibly happen in this story is that they conceive a child, and in 9 months' time, around August, September, a beautiful new Barlow baby is born with no mishaps or problems whatsoever.
Yeah.
I have heard tell of couples struggling to conceive that they begin to feel the romance as sort of dulled somewhat when they're shagging on schedule. So maybe that could come up.
They didn't have any romance anyway.
Like Adam starting to feel as though she's abusing him and only wants him for his body, which would be a bit of a turnabout,
I think
wouldn't it?
he'd like that.
No, I don't think he would.
There's been no hint of any romance between Adam and Sarah as far as I'm concerned. I think it's all been about the animalistic carnal pleasures and stuff. So I know,
but when it's the lady forcing you, suddenly the shoe's on the other foot.
Maybe. Okay, so this Christmas dinner thing, it was a bit of a dud, wasn't it? I don't think lots of people thought that, but I was watching it. I was waiting for having a big old family Pat Barlow gathering with massive fallouts and comedy one-liners everywhere, but it turned into a bit of a we can't get all the cast in the bistro set, so we're going to have to come up with increasingly stupid reasons why they don't come, and maybe for some of them just no reason. So we had Max and Lily are playing on their online games upstairs, so they're just left home alone.
Presumably didn't have any dinner.
Yeah, presumably no. On Christmas Day, I'm sorry, if you've got a family meal out, but with your kids on Christmas Day, those kids are coming.
All right,
especially Lily.
Okay.
And then you had Tracy and Amy. The writers couldn't be bothered to think of a reason; they just didn't want to show up. Who else was there? Daniel.
Daniel spent the day with Kirk and.
The whole the thing last week was, but Daniel and Max together at Christmas Day, how's that going to work out? And then last Wednesday or Tuesday, I can't remember, they kind of had a truce, didn't they? They said, okay, well, let's not take this any further. And then neither of them bothered to turn up.
I think the joke was supposed to be that nobody turned up.
It was,
but it wasn't that funny.
It wasn't that funny. It was just.
And unfortunately, I felt we were being led to a scenario that would be akin to a new comedy great of all time, like the AA meeting or some kind of legendary one-liner, constant funny quips about people, but there weren't any. Were there funny lines?
Not really.
I don't remember
Audrey
anything.
did her best.
Audrey was funny because she was drunk. There was this call out to the olives, which we always appreciate.
But that's what it felt to me.
We had a bit of a mishap with David trying to cook.
It felt to me that there was the same old lines, and yes, sometimes it's funny when characters get drunk, and Audrey is always good for a laugh.
Audrey was the funniest bit.
It kind of writes itself, but it was still funny. But then there was lots of callbacks, like the olives, and every Christmas it's David saying, "Oh, everybody, it's my birthday as well, Oh, I hope you got me 2 birthday presents." So they brought out that line again. And then they had Ken with his handbells, which was a callback to, do you remember that Christmas a couple of years ago when I had everybody playing handbells in Daniel's flat? Wasn't that hilarious? It wasn't that great then. It was a real disappointment for me, really. But I kind of glossed over it now, really. It's in the past, and I know lots of people did enjoy it, so that's good. But
I just felt a bit. The only reason I just felt a bit cheated that we didn't have a big Barlow Platt get together, which I think would have been epic and brilliant.
I wonder whether it was a case of, right, we know we cannot have all of these characters together in one set. What can we do?
I understand that, but I felt like they could have then saved this for another year.
Yeah, maybe.
I didn't feel like this had to be the year.
I quite liked, and even though I said I didn't like all the callbacks in it, I kind of liked the bit with characters popping out the freezer saying, "How could people get trapped in here?" It's really easy.
There were some funny bits.
There were some funny bits.
It felt like if this was a normal episode, I would have thought it was quite funny.
Yeah. Okay, next up we got The Silence of the Sams. This was another one where I thought, right, Christmas Day, Sam is going to have a Christmas miracle and start talking.
He'll go, "God bless us,
I thought he was going to have his Tiny Tim moment, or at the very least, when Billy started tinkling on the ivories at the end of the episode, I thought that Sam would be just caught up in the Christmas magic of it and sing a raucous chorus of "We Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day" in B flat. But no, he just nodded his head along.
And Sam Blakeman, who did not speak.
Yeah, it was totally. And the thing is, the way that they made him speak, basically all that happens is that he decides that he's now really likes Hope, even though they've never had a scene together, as far as I know. And they've got walkie-talkies, the girls have for Christmas, and Sam is convinced to converse over the walkie-talkies with Hope, and he says, "Sorry, over," or something, and Nick gets really excited by the fact that he's now spoken, and he goes, Sam, oh, it's nice to hear you talking," and Sam's like, "Not talking to you there, mate." And then he's still silent at the end of the episode, and Nick's kind of getting really frustrated because he thought that this was a breakthrough moment for him, and it was, but he thought that it meant it would all be over. But no, the story's going on for a little bit longer. That's basically what happened. I just think that if they'd have had him singing along all Christmassy on Christmas Day, they could have still then, gone back to him not speaking the next day. It was just a bit odd that Hope was the one to make him come out of his shell.
Do you think she's the Marilyn Monroe to his Arthur Miller?
I don't understand that reference. If you'd said Marilyn Monroe and JFK, I would get that.
No, because Arthur Miller was an intellectual.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I don't think JFK can be accused of that.
I don't know. Hope's pretty conniving and clever herself as well. Any thoughts?
So was Marilyn Monroe.
Oh yes, she was. You're
Thank
right.
you very much.
Marilyn Monroe was clever.
The fact that people still think she's dumb is just a sign of how clever she was. People confusing her character in Some Like It Hot with reality.
I know. Did you enjoy this, or thought it was a missed opportunity? Pass on that one. Well, the story's passed because we haven't heard anything more from it from Sunday, so I guess we'll have to wait until 2022 to find out when Sam's going to speak next. And finally, Gemma, I will pass a case of the Munchies over to you.
Well, that typical, isn't it?
What?
Me and the Munchies, always. Friday, Emma is still mad at Steve about the whole wedding thing. She says if he wants her to forgiveness, he can look for Curtis. Thank you very much. And Eileen says, you're going to lose this kid unless you give her a hand. So he goes and finds her in the pub later and says, look, I did try. I'm right about Curtis. I don't really care what you think, but in the end, I'm right. Saturday, Christmas Day, she just moons around looking at photos of Curtis on her phone. Tuesday, Steve is... I can't believe Emma's trying to get Tim to go looking for Curtis. She's like, don't do that. He thinks she's throwing her life away. Then we see Faye having a bad driving lesson with Craig, who doesn't pull her over for erratic driving.
Because he's in the car.
The car's smoking. They get out. Tim has to fix it. He also offers to take Faye out for a few lessons, but she's not happy about that. So Tim asks Emma if she can teach Faye, and she agrees to give it a go because he reckons that it's probably easier because she's not as intimidated by Emma.
I wouldn't trust Emma to teach anyone anything. Sorry.
I think if you're at the level where it's your confidence that it needs building rather than the actual basic fundamentals of how a car in the road works, I think it's all right.
Emma's like, oh, road works. Oh, that's good. The road works up there. Oh, roundabout. Brilliant. Let's go to the Christmas fair.
They get in the car and drive away. Back in the roads later, Faye is telling Emma that she really should try to make amends with Steve, but Emma wants to drag it out a bit longer.
The end. That was a bit of a downer to the street talk, wasn't it? Because that story was a whole load of nothing. Not interested in Faye learning to drive, not interested in Emma teaching her how to drive, and I'm certainly not interested in Emma's pursuits of getting Curtis back and saying, Steve, I don't think I can ever forgive you, and the whole cliche story of, oh, Tim, can you tell Steve that I'm saying this? Like, oh, for heaven's sake. So that was a bit silly. But once more I was wrong in my prediction that Emma and Curtis would have a Christmas wedding. So we've still got that to look forward to, I'm sure, in the new year. And we have reached finally the end of our street talk, Gemma. A bit of a long one, but we did have more episodes to go over this week.
And we stopped to open a present.
We stopped to open a post as well halfway through it. What are we giving this one out of 5? I think if it was just, I was let down by Christmas Day because it just wasn't my thing. But I have fairly well enjoyed it since. The Abby stuff has got me more annoyed, but more because it's like, I really don't want Abby to be so self-destructive, even though that's her character and one of the things I like about her. So it's all very confusing. But on the whole, I thought it was a decent set of episodes this week. I am going to give this bunch of shows, I'm going to give it 4 shuttered ovulation windows out of 5 this week. I thought it was pretty good.
Well, I think I agree with you on what score to give it. I'm glad that lots and lots of people thought that Christmas Day was a really good episode. And
I'm glad as well.
I think it was really nice for Coronation Street to go back to the roots of like a properly festive, low stakes kind of fun. I really, really liked Billy on the piano. I thought that was nice.
I thought it was a nice ending. And when they were at the end and Jenny was telling Daisy, oh, I'm proud of you, I thought that was lovely.
That was lovely. When they were all just singing self-consciously along and we got to see them all together.
How did they all know all the words to all the songs?
I don't know. How did he know how to play the piano with exactly how she told him to? Brilliant. I thought that was really sweet. So give it 4. And I will give it 4 mystic pigeons perched on a garden wall.
Nice. Okay. Okay, character of the week time then.
Billy.
No, it's not Billy.
Billy's piano.
Of course it's not Billy's piano.
Leo.
I don't know his name. That's how much impression he's made.
I'm going to give this character.
It to Abby, Gemma?
I'm going to give the character of the week to the goat.
No, you got to be
because it is the goat.
Stop it. Right, who's our character of the week this week? It's hard not to give it to Abby, but I can't really reward her naughty behaviour this week.
But I'm going to give it to Abby.
I thought you would.
Because I've never given the character of the week to the most morally upstanding person.
No, I know.
Ask Pedo Van Man, who's...
right alongside there with Abby,
I can't condone his behaviour at all. But, she was compelling. I wonder, also, the people who... rightfully so, don't agree with her being cruel to Kelly. I wonder whether their hearts were softened even a little bit when she gave her speech at the addiction clinic and said, "This is how I'm feeling." Even I thought that was great. That scene between the pair of them, that scene was fantastic. I don't understand drug addiction. I don't know what drives somebody to start taking drugs, but I felt much closer to understanding it after that scene than I ever have before. So I think that was really good writing, really great performance. I can't give it to Kelly because I don't like her very much. So I give it to Abby.
Okay. I might actually, because she has certainly been the character that has brought about the most discussion and controversy this week, and maybe, you know, she was the character that most people were talking about this week, so maybe I will. I mean,
you can always give it to Kelly in the interest of balance.
I'm not giving it to Kelly though,
okay, alright, I'm not going that far.
I'm not going that far. I am on Team Abby still, but I do feel bad for Kelly, but I would give props to Kelly. I'll also give props to Daisy, and I'm looking forward and I'm happy when Daisy comes on the screen now, which is a far cry from 6 months ago. I think Dev also deserves a bit of a shout out for telling Kelly some much needed home truths there. And also maybe Fizz, because for putting her foot down and saying, no, I want my house with a goat. Sorry, Tyrone, you the one that moved out of this place. You should have thought about that when you kissed Alina.
I've got this image of like a parallel universe, Coronation Street, where people actually do some of the things they say they're going to do that, you know, they're not going to do, where where Fizz and Phil live in this like dilapidated cottage that looks like the Weasleys out of Harry Potter, with a marauding goat in the garden, and Ruby and Hope run screaming in and out of the garden every day to get to school, terrified of this goat that eats their homework, and the teacher doesn't believe them.
Tell you what, if they lived in the borough, that cornfield around them would be up in a blaze like the Emmerdale one with Hope living there, wouldn't it?
Oh, definitely. She'd love that. Yeah. Oh, it's nice and dry. Mum, check this out.
Am I going for Abby? I think I'll go for Abby. Sorry, everybody. I know that's really controversial, but if I hadn't gone for Abby, I'd have gone to Fizz, and people wouldn't have been happy with that either. You tell us your character of the week, everybody.
Everybody has their own opinions, and it's all based on our own life experiences. Life's been very kind to Michael and I, so we feel freer to sympathise with people who are naughty, I guess. I don't know. I think some people who might have... Abby. You know, maybe if you're also a murderer, you might sympathise with Kelly more.
And with that, I think it's time we moved on to the next part of the podcast.
Only people are listening that understand that.
I think they do. I think it's okay.
Okay, sure.
I think it's okay. Sure. Let's move on.
I think we should.